I've been waiting for the perfect moment to cover Daniel Larson for a very, very long time. Every time I felt like tackling the subject, things would get even more insane from the guy, and so I kept pushing it off more and more in order to let things simmer and see what else he could possibly get himself into. The time is now, however, as let's just say that we might not see Daniel Larson in the public eye anytime soon for a very, very long time. Shout out to the channel members like always, and if you'd want to support yourself, you can subscribe to my Patreon in the corner or YouTube memberships by clicking the join button. I hope you liked the video, and without further ado, let's get into the deranged decay of Daniel Larson starting from the very beginning. Daniel Robert Larson was born on November 15, 1998 in Lancaster, California to his mother Elizabeth and his father James. Not much is known about his parents' early lives other than his father was 20 when they had him, and Daniel's childhood is just as murky, with one of the only notable things being that he had a pair of twin sisters named Joyetta and Olivia who died shortly after birth when he was around 2 to 3 years old. He's opened up about his childhood before, however, as one day he would tell the story on how he was playing with a neighbor's dog before a tragic accident happened resulting in its death.
Did you guys know I am an animal murderer? When I was a toddler, my neighbor had a dog, and that dog loved to play with me. But that dog ended up, there was like a fence, right? And I was chasing this dog, and the dog started to jump over the fence. And you know, these fences sometimes fences have these little spikes on the fence. It went straight down, right through his chest and killed him.
Now obviously Daniel isn't an animal murderer like he claims to be, but you can see how he doesn't understand things very easily, and that would become apparent early on in his life as James would abandon him and his mother sometime in 2010 after deeming him a lost cause. They would soon move to Colorado due to them having a better reputation on handling mental health compared to California, with Elizabeth herself even commenting on some YouTube video how he's not only autistic but also suffers from severe bipolar and schizophrenia, saying that he used to attack both her and his grandmother Nancy alongside his general delusional nature. One might think that Daniel was a straight up menace throughout his childhood for no discernible reason, but allegations of him being sexually abused and neglected in his childhood would spread around as people learned more about him. While there was no evidence of any sexual abuse being brought upon him, the neglect was somewhat believable as Elizabeth was wheelchair bound due to lupus and eventually lost custody of Daniel by the state of Colorado very soon after they moved there. He's claimed after this he was moving from house to house looking for a potential foster family for a while, with leaked documents sent to potential foster parents stating a lot about his tendencies, such as his history of property damage, kicking animals, self-harm, and verbal and physical threats and actions.
I moved to Colorado because my mother forced me to.
Really? Was she bad?
She was an idiot, but, you know, I forgive her, and you know...
Is she still alive? Or?
You know, I don't know. I think she's still alive. You know, I think she's jealous of my popularity.
I am too, dude. You know, you're famous.
Yeah, but I mean, it is no joke. You know, being famous is definitely not easy.
Yeah.
You
so
know.
does your mom, like, no, not to like bring up like bad memories, did your mom like abuse you? Or?
Whoever wins this point wins.
Just, I want to say neglectful.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, growing up, I was moving house to house to house. So, if you know how homelessness is just bad, it was kind of like the same thing. I never had a place to call home.
Nancy would eventually gain custody of him after bouncing from house to house, though it is said that she enabled his bad behavior rather than punish him due to love, pity, or her simply being how grandmothers tend to be with their grandchildren. Elizabeth has gone on to refute the claims of neglect by the general public and say her mother was lying about her to people, but again, given she's wheelchair bound, it's very likely this was the case even if it was out of her own control and not really her fault in a normal sense. During this time period, Daniel was a member of the Tennyson Center for Children, an assisted living facility meant to help and rehabilitate children with mental deficiencies and hardships throughout their life up to that point. He would end up meeting his mentor Robert Bob Proctor here and become close with each other during his stay at the place. He was even seen in a news segment about the place in 2012, as while he wasn't the main focus, he was one of the children shown to be heading in the right direction at the time.
First came here, I actually was really nervous.
That's 14-year-old Danny, who came from an extremely neglectful home. When his grandmother got word of Danny's situation, she moved here from California to be his guardian.
Wonderful!
So he wouldn't end up in a foster home. Danny still lived at the center for a year and a half, but now lives with his grandma, continuing to go to school at Tennyson and receive treatment.
When he came to Tennyson almost 3 years ago, he was very angry, and confused and feeling very uncertain about his life and where he belonged and what was going to happen.
But looking at Danny now, you will see a smiling, laughing young boy with the world ahead of him.
This is wonderful today.
Danny and his grandmother have both seen huge improvements.
I learned to, when I'm in school, to do school and never quit, because if you quit, you won't know what to do. And
Danny now has big dreams and is looking forward to the future.
I like theater. I love to act. I want a storm chase when I get older. Hopefully I'll be on the news one day.
Despite the praise and the good framing the news report put on him, Daniel was still said to be a violent person as he threw a chair at a window once, knocking down a light fixture in the process somehow. He would run throughout the hallways to avoid staff trying to get to him, with him eventually given a permanent guardian to watch over his every move 24/7 around the place. He would even claim there was a room they would throw him into sometimes called the timeout room, a room that was made of all brick and was only lit up by a single window as a form of punishment. Given how outlandish this sounds, this is most likely him just lying to people. He was also a volunteer dog walker around October 2012 according to his LinkedIn page, though not much else is known about his time doing that or if he ever even did it in the first place. Sometime in September 2014, Daniel started to attend music theater programs in his city either set up by Nancy or himself, nobody really knows. Some of his roles would be listed on a piece of paper, with most being relegated to background roles, save for the time he played King Triton in The Little Mermaid at one point. This would be the start of Daniel's enjoyment for singing and his craving for fame, as if there was anything he wanted more in life, it was to be adored by fans around the world. In 2016, Daniel would start to attend the Sobieski Academy, a school that was occupied predominantly by students in need of rehabilitation to help them get through it to get back to a normal school setting. Daniel was even present during the grand opening, and despite the goal being to send the students back to a normal school environment, he spent his whole high school life there before graduating out of the program. A Redditor would even open up about their time being around him at the school, saying how he was pretty normal throughout the entire time they were there with him, and that while he did still have academic issues as we've seen so far, his turnaround from graduation into today was like night and day to him. Daniel will be seen around the school participating in activities like being a mascot for local events, and for a second it seemed he was heading down the right path in his life during his time there. He will continue to hone in on his interest in singing in his pastime by watching the show America's Got Talent, going on to discover the child protege Grace Vanderwall in one of the episodes in 2016 when she was just 12 years old and he was 17. He would become infatuated with her in the process and start the beginning of his adoration for her, even calling her cute on social media in 2019, meaning that even into adulthood he was still interested in her. It seemed that Daniel was doing alright for himself during his time at Sobieski. However, things would take a turn as on November 6, 2017, just 9 days before his 19th birthday, Daniel would assault his paralyzed and wheelchair-bound mother before police were called, making this the first time he was ever arrested in his life. This would end up with him getting 44 days of jail time and delaying his graduation from the school in the process. He has since said this is because of a buildup of rage throughout his childhood, but given he's a known liar, nobody can say for certain what caused this to happen.
15 years of my parents hitting me with belts, my dad asking me to smoke cigars as a child, decided to push my mother out of the way one time when she cornered me when I was 18, and they called that assault, and I went to jail for 45 days. But if my mother was the one that was abusing me my whole life and never got in trouble, and I did one thing to her and went to jail for 45 days, I did one thing, she did like 150 things. She should be the one to get the blame. In the end, God has the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. So she actually well deserved that one thing for what she did. I took this to court and I told them, believe it or not, they lifted the case because they listened to me. My mother still doesn't have a restraining order and she should.
Nonetheless, he would end up graduating from Sobieski Academy at the age of 19 in 2017, never attending college after, and continuing to live with Nancy now that he was taking his first steps into adulthood. Things would be quiet for a bit from him until 2019, as on April 11th that year, Daniel would have to put down him and Nancy's dog Broadway due to battling cancer. Just a few months later, Nancy herself would pass away from cancer as well on July 24th, 2019, with Daniel allegedly not showing up to see her as she was dying due to being at a local Special Olympics event that day. After her passing, he was sent to a state-run home for the disabled, in which they would get him a job at a thrift store sometime that year, with him apparently getting scammed out of $500 via a gift card scam of some sort. In 2019, he would also start to post on social media for the first time after getting himself a phone, with his Instagram account named after his dog being mainly full of reposts of the same couple videos and photos, some showing his time in the local Special Olympics scene and others showing him practicing how to sing.
We design, cause every night I lie in bed, and the brightest colors fill my head.
Daniel's very first YouTube channel named after him is also more of the same, with only 3 videos posted on it. The first being him singing on the side of the road, the second of him running in a track circle while listening to music, and the third of him eating a really good sandwich.
Some good food. Some really good food.
Out of all the social media accounts he created, however, none were more important than his first TikTok account, Daniel Larson 20, though he would only upload 3 videos to it between September to October 2019. While they aren't important in any way at all whatsoever, this would be the beginning of the modern story of Daniel Larson. As well as Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter accounts were around, it was TikTok where the majority of people would get their first taste of the man and the massive rabbit hole they would soon discover. Daniel will make a new TikTok account sometime in March 2020 named Daniel Larson Fans, and despite it being named as a fan page, it was just Daniel himself posting on it like any normal person would on their social media. His hunger for fame would be the driving force in growing this account, and he would soon find himself getting people's attention after posting a video dedicated to George Floyd during the BLM riots that took place during late spring to early summer 2020 in what is known as the Green Room, one of Daniel's first notable filming locations.
This is for George Floyd. Rest in peace. Black Lives Matter.
Another video that takes place in the Green Room has Daniel rolling all over the floor making monkey noises, with the reason as to why currently being unknown. While these are certainly entertaining in their own right, the video that put Daniel on the map would be when he told his small fan base goodnight, with it going viral on TikTok as people took interest due to his interesting overall persona.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for your support.
This newfound fame would cause a lot of people to start looking into him and troll him due to his obviously eccentric nature, with one of those trolling arcs being them convincing him that the BLM riots were actually his own fans and dubbed it the Daniel Larson riots in this successful attempt at manipulation.
This is 30 seconds of silence for the people who have passed away in the Daniel Larson riots. Okay.
I didn't see the truck the money when I passed. Oh my goodness. Oh.
You don't believe me, guys? I'll tell you what.
This fame would start to get to his head rather quickly, as on July 14th, 2020, he would announce that he was running for President of the United States of America in a brand new video. He would push his campaign forward with his commercial on TikTok promoting his presidential run, and in turn would be given the moniker Mr. President by those wanting to see this man become the most powerful person in America. As more and more people started to learn about the man, Daniel found himself being approached by multiple music labels wanting to help further his music career, except these labels are actually just trolls messing with the guy for their own kicks. Oblivious to all of this, Daniel will find himself in a bunch of Zoom meetings with these so-called label executives, even finding himself his first manager, someone who goes by the name of Flexburger. On October 23rd, he would even livestream himself teaching a little girl how to make music and hanging out with her, with people seeing this as him just being a normal guy doing normal guy stuff. He would eventually release his first big song through Roach Records, with this being his first steps into mainstream stardom.
What's up? This is Big D. Y'all ready to party? All these fake record labels trying to reach out to me. One thing they don't know is they call me Big D.
These ties to the music industry would prove to be beneficial, as Daniel would find himself shaping up to work on a collab with the rapper Drake in the nearby future, showing that despite his severe mental disabilities, nothing was impossible with hard work and a little bit of luck.
Daniel, what's up? It's me, Drake. I was wondering if you wanted to do a collab with me.
It turns out, however, that Drake and Daniel have a lot more in common beyond just making banger music, as on November 20th, 2020, Flexburger, unbeknownst to Daniel, will leak his Pinterest account for the world to see. The account will be full of pictures of underage girls including Grace Vanderwall and Darcy Lynn Farmer, both who were around 16 years old at the time, and had references to age of consent and other strange things throughout. People start to hound Daniel to give answers as to what exactly is going on here, as the evidence was not making him look good whatsoever, in which he would confess it was indeed his account and would admit to some other stuff that made him look a whole lot worse than anybody could have ever expected.
In the past, I used to use pictures of girls and masturbate to them.
Yeah, Daniel just admitted to enjoying pictures of underage girls like that, meaning that the funny, weird man that people were trolling online is probably a pedophile. This would cause an uproar in the Daniel Larson fanbase, as their favorite online figure was now a nonce, and so they would drag him into a meeting to discuss what was going on, only for Daniel to start denying it and say it wasn't him, and any other instances of him engaging with minors was him getting hacked online.
I think Daniel's...
I've been having issues with my media, like getting hacked, spam messages, the comments getting hacked.
He would continue to deny the Pinterest account was his, seeing this as his only escape for what he did, but his fans weren't buying it as they quickly started to turn on the man. Roach Records would drop the guy as nobody wants someone like that on their music label, and Daniel would go on to say that he signed with Interscope and Party House Records, though this is obviously just more trolls messing with the guy. Daniel would continue to interact online despite his reputation being ruined, and trolls would start to up the ante by ordering pizza to his house, all while he kept denying the Pinterest account was his to any other people who asked him about it. He will blame his old management team on the controversy and say it was their fault, even saying this was a smear campaign by the public and that he hired a private investigator despite everyone knowing this is a lie, as he doesn't have the money to do that sort of stuff. People very quickly learned that Daniel was a liar and would do whatever it takes to get himself out of a situation, and so their trust in the man was all but shattered in a mere matter of days. Nonetheless, he would continue on with his career and push through the controversy by posting random videos throughout the weeks, such as him doing a BLM tribute for singer Blake Shelton in the middle of the street. This period of posting would come with a little bit of trolling as expected, however, such as people getting him to shout out EDP445 much to their enjoyment.
I just wanted to shout out the YouTuber EDP445. I am sorry for the allegations against you. We are in this together. I have been there too. I hope we could possibly collaborate in the future. If you need anything, feel free to message.
Things would suddenly go quiet, however, as Daniel would stop posting on December 20th, 2020, with people wondering if he gave up on his career or if something else was going on. This silence would go on for months, and most people would throw in the towel and believe he moved on in life after his short-lived career. This blackout would be short-lived, however, as Daniel would come back to social media in March 2021 after this 3-month break, with people still to this day having no answer as to why he left in the first place. This would also mark the beginning of the headset arc, in which Daniel would be seen wearing a headset while making his TikTok videos for the rest of his remaining fan base. He would continue to deny the allegations despite nobody believing him by this point, and for the next couple weeks wouldn't post anything noteworthy as he was getting back into the online space, save for this video right here.
The allegations right now against me are fake. Please do not believe them. There is this person that is claiming to be me. He is using a phone number, claiming that that phone number is mine. Unfortunately, it is not my phone number. The only phone number I have is the one I'm using right now, which is 5. That is the only number I have. Interscope Records is working on everything, trying to clear everything.
Things would start to ramp up again during this time period as he would be involved in a car crash, and while it was more so the people behind him who were injured rather than him, he again shows just how eccentric his behavior is like to those watching.
You want some?
Flexburger would pull off a sting operation on Daniel around this time, with him pretending to be an underage girl and getting him to send NSFW messages and images, as it was clear Daniel had no control over his urges by this point. Daniel would soon declare war on Flexburger after figuring out he was the one who leaked his Pinterest in the recent leaks, in which Flexburger was already planning something behind the scenes now that their beef was officially on. On May 6, 2021, Daniel will livestream a concert on TikTok Live, with this concert consisting of him playing random music while walking around and receiving phone calls from trolls. That same day, he would upload a TikTok stating he was gonna get into the adult film industry, much to the surprise of his audience. And later that day, would strip down naked on TikTok Live, showing off his entire body for the viewers to see as hilarity ensued, with his account getting banned very shortly afterwards for obvious reasons. He would make a new account within the next 24 hours and post a video asking people to follow him back, saying he got hacked, but everyone knew by this point it was just another successful troll pulled off on him by Flexburger. He would then go naked once again on this account and get banned once more, and I believe the very censored video I'm playing is the incident of that, but there's no date attached to it, so take that however you will. Daniel will continue to get himself into more and more controversial situations, such as how he was apparently under heavy watch by his parole officer and could go to jail if he messes up again, alongside multiple accounts getting hacked or banned for various reasons on the site. He would continue to dig his hole deeper and deeper as he would make some interesting posts about his opinions on certain stuff among other things as well.
In my opinion, if underage can actually do porn with the consent of parents, if, they do it the right way.
On May 11th, he would start up another livestream talking to a therapist without letting them know, with some people wondering if he was finally trying to get help for his issues or if it was just a front to look good to the public. Also during this time period was his harassment of Grace Vanderwall, as Daniel would be seen spamming the comments of her TikTok page in a bizarre manner, and he would be seen talking about her in a call with a bunch of other random people. His obsession with Grace would only grow bigger, as one day trolls were able to convince him she was in the hospital, in which he would start to run around the city of Denver yelling at everyone about the dire news.
There's currently a celebrity in the hospital. We are asking that the information gets loose. Thank you, everyone. Please spread the message. There's currently a celebrity in the hospital. Please spread the news. There's currently a celebrity of the name of Grace Vanderwall that just passed away as of 6:30 tonight. We're asking that the message gets spread. Do you think you guys could spread the message through here? Grace Vanderwall.
Isn't she from AGT?
Yes.
She died?
She just died.
Stop it.
Yeah. Currently, I was actually supposed to do a collaboration with her.
Shut up.
And she just passed away. I was talking with her just as she died.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It better be fake news.
It's not. It's actually, I'm going to be honest, it just happened, so the news has not picked it up yet, but they will be shortly. There is currently a celebrity in the hospital. We are asking that the message gets out. That's very rude of you.
And you're just talking gibberish. Just go.
That was assault, by the way.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. I have it all on film.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to because you tried to grab me.
I did not try to.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. It's all on film.
At one point, he would even head to a local movie theater and claim he was dating her, mind you, with her being a minor at the time still, showing that his obsession was going insane. He even made a video where he was moaning for her in one of the craziest posts I've seen on the internet in a while.
This message is for Grace.
On June 25th, 2021, Daniel will upload a slew of videos of him in distress and begging to get into contact with Grace, making threats on himself at some points as he loses his mind on camera. On the 4th of July, he will upload a video claiming that Grace died after trolls got to him once more, in which he would give insight on his past actions assaulting minors and Grace in specific in a very rare moment of clarity.
I admit to assaulting minors and in Grace and sending Grace a pic. I'm sorry for putting Grace through so much stress that she takes her own life and has a heart attack.
This moment of clarity, however, would go as soon as it came, as he would continue to post about her, this time now saying that her father was raping her as people kept up with his life. Daniel will put out his most famous song to date, Roaring Thunder, in the midst of this Grace Vanderwall meltdown on July 15th, and on July 28th, he would go live on TikTok and claim that he just got banned from all Walmarts in the United States, going on to argue with employees as he was getting kicked off the property.
I can actually be here. This is public grounds.
Nope, it's actually private property.
Then why can people go shopping here?
Because they could shop on private business company, but if the private business owners kick you out, then it's a problem. I mean, I don't care. I know what it looks like.
Not my problem. Not my problem.
Soon after the incident, he would go on to say the reason as to why he was banned.
Walmart just kicked me out for touching kids.
He would go on to plan a protest against the company for this ban, but it would turn out this is a troll who was pretending to be a Walmart representative to mess with him some more, adding yet another tally to the ever-growing mark of successful trolls in Daniel's life. During this headset arc, he even came out as transgender and would continue to say it throughout the weeks, but it was clear this was just more insane ramblings coming from the man, so nothing ever came of it. Sometime in July 2021, Daniel would find himself a new caretaker named Jonas and live at his place in a room dubbed the Pink Room, but he was already trashing it up by smashing holes in the wall in his fits of rage. This would eventually culminate in Daniel recording him during one of his episodes on August 14th, with him trying to say that Jonas assaulted him when it was clear Daniel was just screaming wolf to try to make him look bad.
Hit me! No! What? Get off me! Get off me! If you try to hit me one more time, bitch! I have it all on recording! You tried to hit me! I'm on the floor! I'm doing nothing to you! I'm doing nothing to you! You tried to hit me! I just did self-defense! I'm on the floor! I didn't do anything! I just did self-defense! I even have it on film with you trying to... Like, I don't even know anymore, and I'm afraid of you!
Around this time, he also embarked on the Fog arc, a time period in which his phone camera would look extremely blurry when he was recording himself, hence the arc getting its name. While it had first been seen in November 2020, it wasn't until summer 2021 where it would be seen on a consistent basis, with people wondering as to what was going on with this phone. It turns out he was told to put tape over his camera by his managers as a way to gain extra publicity, which in an ironic twist of fate, made this trolling attempt a positive for both the trolls and for Daniel in this case, as it did bring more attention to him. After seeing Daniel's meltdown on Jonas, people looked more into his time at the place, such as how he became extremely paranoid about the mac and cheese that was made for him.
I want to know who the put jalapenos in this. I know why this tastes different. It's got something in it that's like sour as well. And if you look, it's got like little things in it. I don't know what it is. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We don't have the milk, so the asshole care provider didn't do the milk. Like, I'm going to be straight up serious. Why does the mac and cheese taste a lot like ranch, but with like a tangy taste? Like, that doesn't make any sense. The mac and cheese tastes more of like honey mustard, which is really weird. And if you look, bingo.
This is the most brain function people had seen from Daniel ever, as he showed he was able to deduce honey mustard was in his mac and cheese, meaning that if he wants to, he can think hard about things. Soon after the Jonas incident, Daniel would hatch up a new plan to become more famous online, as while he was already known, he wanted more, and in turn would embark on what would become the next major era in the story of Daniel Larson. In August 2021, a fake Grace Vanderwall account would convince Daniel to get himself a mohawk, and so people would sit by and see what would happen next. Fans would also notice that he was now in California for some reason too, and even though he said he was in Los Angeles, it was actually Emeryville where he ended up, as people traced him to a hotel there, showing just how lost he was. Nobody had a clue how he got to Cali, and he would start to post on a new TikTok account asking for food and money to make it through the next few days as people try to figure out what to do next. They would eventually get him back home and he would be sent to a mental hospital in Colorado Springs, only for Daniel to post a video after he smashed up a TV in his room due to his instability. A Reddit account named Lootbox Productions would go on to claim they were part of his management team, making a long post about how they're trying to keep Daniel under control, also saying how they control his finances because he's shown to spend money on a whim whenever he wants to. While it is said that these people would soon drop him after they found out about the Pinterest situation, there doesn't seem to be any hard evidence of that being the reason as to why, but either way, they were gone and Daniel was now back to face the world on his own after they managed to get him back home to Colorado. 2022 started off pretty rough for Daniel, as soon into moving into his own place away from Jonas, he would find himself homeless after abandoning it altogether on January 10th. He would end up talking with Bob Proctor in his car a few days later, with Bob telling Daniel to get out of his car and leave him alone before he calls the police on him.
You're just not taking any accountability at all. You're not taking accountability for anything that you've done. Like, I'm trying to help.
We've been friends for a long time, but we had a disagreement in terms of what he does, and I tried to drop him off here, and he will not get out of the car.
During this initial homeless arc, nothing exactly interesting was going down, so people look into his past for some more content, such as finding stuff like an old video of him punching himself in the balls naked on the floor before inserting a finger into you-know-what and licking it, an image of him showing himself naked to what is at least one underage kid in a call, and a video of him giving himself the goatsy treatment. They would even find an old video message he made for Darcy Lynn Farmer, who was 16 years old at the time, showing just how far his depravity has fallen.
This message goes out to Darcy Lynn. If we were together and dating, I would you till you bleed.
Daniel would eventually find a place in February but get kicked out a month later, and so just like that, he was back to the streets to figure out what to do next. Now, Daniel had a known history of dine and dashing restaurants by this point in time, and so on May 13th, Daniel would dine and dash a Hard Rock Cafe in Colorado due to his fans not fronting the bill despite his pleas, with the company pursuing legal action and filing a case against him just 6 days later on the 19th. There's also something else Daniel had become known for around that time as well, and that was his usage of the N-word, with compilation videos of him saying it for people to see.
Ellie, you aren't. Do you think I'm stupid enough? Your name is Nick, last name Gur. Put it together.
It just so happened the same day he dipped out on Hard Rock, he would find someone yelling at him for being on his property and charging his phone, with Daniel pulling out Old Reliable to try and get himself out of the situation.
If you put one hand on me...
Get the out of here.
Okay.
Really? It's going to be like that?
He would defend his usage was to protect himself, but given what we've seen, he was just trying to rile the dude up and get on his nerves. Just 2 days after this incident, Daniel participated in the Denver Colfax Marathon and finished in second to last place despite being homeless. It's not exactly surprising that he participated to begin with, as some of his earliest videos before he was famous already showed his love for running. And while it puzzled some people why he would do this given he's homeless, by this point in time his fans knew he was on his own wavelength and went about the world the way he wanted to. On May 25th, a TikToker and YouTuber named Brinko uploaded his first video showing him hanging around with Daniel on the 14th, the day after the N-word incident and before the marathon. In this video, he just runs across him while hanging out at a park with his friend, in which they take a picture of them real quick and move on with their day. He would go on to hang out with Daniel more and more for the next couple days, uploading short videos on TikTok now that he was hanging out with one of the biggest people on the site. The TikToks would get millions of views on the site, with a lot of people enjoying Brink's approach as they showed Daniel in a much more normal light than others, but he would soon delete almost all of them both off of YouTube and TikTok for an unknown reason, with only one video of them two together remaining as an unlisted link. On June 2nd, an unknown person on Daniel's TikTok would post he was in a coma, but users would notice that coma was misspelled as comma, meaning that Daniel was behind this post for whatever reason he may have had. He also admits that the Denver police had been contacting him about his arrest warrants as he failed to appear in court, and then just straight up breaks character and asks people to help him find a place to live. On June 25th, Daniel would find himself at a Roe v. Wade protest after the court ruling was overturned, going on to talk about his obsession with Grace VanderWaal and the other controversial things he's done so far, with his entire time on the mic being one of the greatest pieces of content I have ever seen on the internet.
Radio. I'm a music artist. I just started my career like about a year ago, but I have a very, very crazy story, very traumatizing story. I'm also on YouTube. I mean, search my name up, you could find me. When I was 18, so I have autism, a very minor case of autism. I'm very well spoken, but I never used to be able to come out in crowds like this and be able to talk like this and be myself. So I'm actually out here right now because I'm in a current lawsuit, court case, because my life is at risk. And I'm going to explain why that happened. I'm going to explain exactly why that happened. So, because of my autism, my grandmother passed away of cancer in 2019. And I wanted to be a singer. I was always performing when I was younger, not at a professional level. I've always wanted to also run for politics and become president of the United States. So I'm 23 years old. This is only the beginning of my career. But I'm gonna say about 5 minutes, maybe less. I'm hoping it's less, but this is a very, very serious situation. Because of my autism, I live in a disability housing service in the state of Colorado. And I went onto social media about 3 years ago, said I wanted to become a singer. That's all I said. I made it public. I started doing about 3 or 4 covers, and it took social media by storm. And I want to say within 6 months, I was gaining per week 20 million views on social media per week. And now here I am, 3 years later at 600 million views and a lawsuit that could put my life at risk. So I came out here because I want this heard. When I was in disability services and I was trying to get myself heard on social media, I had somebody that claimed to be a record label reach out to me. And they gave me a contract and it said Sony Music. And I'm gonna be serious, it was a real contract. The issue is I didn't know that they got it straight off of online. Like you could just go online and look up Sony Music contracts and find something. What ended up happening is they wanted me to go on to TikTok Live. I went on to TikTok Live, started my platform. That was around the time when I was gaining about 20 million views per week. During this entire time, when I was getting the 20 million views per week, that so-called management, which I later found out was fake, they ended up getting me to go onto TikTok Live and go completely nude on live. And at the time, there was 3,000 people in that live. And it went worldwide viral. And it kind of ruined my career because at the time, I was really inspired by a singer named Grace Vanderwall. And at the time, I was around 18 years old. And I wanted to collaborate musically. Of course, I don't know if that's in my future anymore. I'm fighting for a chance now. But basically the reason on why I went nude on social media, and I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible, is I was told by this fake management that I was to go nude. It was like an audition for a porn, like a regular adult porn shoot that was going to help my career blow up. They said it would give me tons of views and it would help me out.
Now, it wasn't just the open mic that produced interesting results, as earlier that day while Daniel was walking around the protest, some people recognized him, showing that his pseudo-celebrity status was growing more and more, and in the process was further deluding him into thinking he's a real celebrity.
Sure. Thank you very much. Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, you're a beast.
Thank you.
I love you. Love you, man. Love you. I love you, TikTok.
Thank you. Thank you.
For real. Hey, can I get a picture, Daniel?
Oh, sure. Oh, thank you.
Big fan.
Thank you.
Can I take a picture?
Sure. Oh my God. Thank you.
On June 30th, Daniel will start to interact with the r/Daniel Larson 2 Discord server. While the evidence of what was said is gone, the Daniel Larson wiki has a write-up of what supposedly went down during his time there, such as during the initial day he joined a Q&A that went down and some people donated to his Cash App. The next day is when things started to get hairy, as Brink would join and have a heated debate with the owners of the Discord server on how to deal with Daniel and what the best for him would be. Daniel would eventually leave the place and promote another Daniel Larson Discord server on TikTok run by someone named Fring. He would immediately start to ban people once he had his taste for power, in which he would get convinced to leave and head back to the Daniel Larson 2 server, only to be given full power once more, but ended up leaving rather than mass banning everyone. He would then post on TikTok the next day talking about the night before, but those seem to be long gone as well. July 2022 would kick off without a hitch as Daniel would post videos saying he and Bob got into a fight outside a movie theater because apparently a bunch of fans started to mob him, but nobody can tell for certain due to how outlandish it sounds, alongside Daniel mentioning Bob not wanting to spend any more money on him and that he's apparently moving to Texas to get away from him.
The entire thing went physical. So he says that he doesn't even have enough money to even do anything now. He just got in his car. He's driving off into the middle of nowhere. He says he's going to Texas.
Given this is all just a bunch of hearsay, people would speculate onto why he and Bob are having such a falling out between each other despite their close ties for almost a decade now. But nonetheless, Daniel will move on and post some videos hanging out at a bowling alley and playing some mini golf with Brink, showing that he was doing fine for himself. Soon after this, Daniel will cut ties with one of his newer managers named Andrew for what seems to be no reason at all, punching his camera, saying a bunch of things about the man.
This is because of stress he puts me under. This is why my life sucks. My entire family is going bankrupt because of that bitch-ass mother hoe.
To this day, no one can pinpoint the exact reason he cut him off, but it seemed to be for the best for the both of them in this case, and people move on knowing he was now back to square one again in his search for a long-term manager for his career. However, soon after this, some more stuff about Daniel will leak out and once again put a lot of things he does into serious questioning. On July 21st, 2022, a video will leak out of Daniel back when he was still in the pink room from a year ago, in which he dedicates it to Grace Vanderwall before inserting a toothbrush into his behind while naked before pulling it out and immediately brushing his teeth, with it being called the toothbrush incident by fans of his. This will start to drum up controversy once more for him, and this would lead into what is known as the July 2022 electronic destruction spree, in which Daniel will start to destroy anything and everything he could get his hands on. It all started on July 20th when he would be donated a large sum of money after streaming on Twitch and buying a pair of $400 headphones, but just 3 days later would break them after falling down while running from a group of rabid fans who spotted him, according to himself. On July 25th, Daniel will post a video on Instagram claiming he broke a TV and the door at an Airbnb he was staying at after having a heated discussion with his therapist. That same day, DMs a leak of Daniel talking to Grace's mother, Tina Vanderwall, with her telling him to keep her daughter's name out of his mouth and that he needs help, while also saying she's contacted authorities if he continues with the harassment. Daniel would reply by immediately saying he's ending his life that night, showing just how far he's willing to take his manipulation on anyone who tries to stop him and his goal for Grace's admiration. The next day, he would post a video on TikTok talking about how he got into a fight with Bob over the phone and broke it during his rage, in which he now has to use a tablet in order to post online.
Shit. And now this broke. It wasn't even a day of me having it.
Around this time, a new manager would come onto the scene named Ox, someone who as far as people could tell was just trying to leech off of Daniel's online fame for his own purposes rather than help him. He was seen in a controversial light initially due to making a merch store in Daniel's image but seemingly implying that all the money was going his direction, and at another point would even imply he tried to dox someone because they were talking trash about him online. He would even poke fun at Daniel himself despite being his so-called manager, such as making references to the time he called out Quandale Dingle back in April that year.
This is a message to Quandale Dingle. Please stop messaging me. Go to hell.
Ox would continue this trolling by convincing Daniel that there was an immediate nuclear attack during a Twitch livestream on August 2nd, in which he would threaten to fire him as hilarity ensued.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. The United States has been subjected to a nuclear attack. The North American Aerospace Defense Command has detected the launch of 12 nuclear missiles aimed towards the mainland United States. 4 of the 12 missiles launched have been intercepted. The 8 remaining nuclear missiles will strike the following locations in the next 15 to 20 minutes: Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, New York City, Philadelphia, and Seattle. Within a 300-mile radius of these areas, everyone should seek out a fallout shelter as soon as possible. Nuclear fallout is a byproduct of nuclear attacks and prolonged exposure to it.
Dan, are you within 300 miles of Los Angeles?
Yes.
Several miles away.
I don't think the nukes affect celebrities.
Radioactive, visible dirt and debris raining down can cause sickness to those outside.
Nico Rico donated $1.69. I hope you survive, Mr. President.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Where did you just go, Dan?
Downstairs to the lobby.
What did they say?
They're trying to find it.
Find what?
They're just trying to find things like me.
It was a prank, Dan.
What the?
It was a prank.
You.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We made $100. I put a goal for the prank. We're at $100.
Listen to me now. You might actually get me kicked out of this hotel tonight. You.
No, Dan. We made $100. Don't be angry. We'll go back to the normal news.
No, listen to me.
Tied in this mess.
The hotel people and the security downstairs are trying to look at the news right now.
Wait, did you tell them we're getting nuked?
I'm tied in.
I told them that it's all over the news. Channel 18. Fuck the CNN.
Daniel would go on to break the TV in the hotel room after getting a restraining order sent by the Vanderwall family, though with this incident he would pay it back according to people online. Soon after this, he would post a video saying that he has trench foot, meaning that his hygienic issues are at an all-time high and that he needed to find a place to live as soon as he could. His fans would even find him gambling at a casino one night too, meaning that he was most likely using all that donation money to hopefully get lucky one day, showing furthermore just how delusional and reckless he is with money. After almost half a year of living on the streets, Daniel would find housing with the help of disability services on August 31st, 2022, with things finally heading in the right direction for the man as he moved in with the new caretaker only known as Miss P. Unfortunately, the very next day, things are already starting to go south, as when Ox ordered a pizza to help feed him, it'll be sent to his old address and Daniel started to get upset about it. Just 2 days into living at his new place, he was already punching holes in the wall as he started to accuse Miss P of abuse, in which she would even break windows in a fit of rage when talking to Bob once again. 2 weeks into living at the place, Daniel would be doxxed for the world to see with people starting to send an obscene amount of pizzas, with one fan even sending a large glass adult toy much to his confusion as things started to fall apart very quickly for the man. On October 16th, just a mere month and a half into living at his new place, he would get officially kicked out due to his repeated behavior of breaking things and being an overall menace to the people around him, ending up back in the streets and back to square one once again.
You guys don't listen to me at all! You guys call the police instead!
Because I've been working on myself.
It's clearly that I'm angry now because you guys just don't do anything!
I've been working on myself.
You guys don't care!
I've been working on myself. Listening. I'm listening to you. You know?
You're going to stop by that Explorer right there. You're getting new charges for this today. Have a good day, guys.
Alrighty.
So I have an update. So I am now kicked back out living on the street again.
Within a few days after getting kicked out, Daniel would run into someone named Wyatt and tag along with him and his friends after meeting them at a Dave & Buster's. This would turn into a fun night for the guys. They would proceed to hotbox the car together and other shenanigans, all while Daniel was posting this online. It seemed that Daniel had found himself some new people to help him out soon after going homeless once again, with all of them even heading out the next day on a hike together for his audience to see. However, things would start to go south very quickly as Daniel would get paranoid due to Wyatt apparently driving in circles in a car together, and he would eventually get ditched at a Walgreens in Colorado Springs after they all convinced him to go inside.
And literally just now left me in Colorado Springs with court in just a couple days. And no way to get home? Like, what is going on?
He would soon start to make his way back to Denver by foot and walk about 20 miles before taking a break, only to be saved by fans as they offered him a ride as he recorded his experience and played his hit single Roaring Thunder together.
Roaring thunder, northern lights, through the night they fly.
To this day, no one really knows the true reason as to why Wyatt and his friends ditched Daniel in the first place, but it didn't really matter anymore as he was back in the streets of Denver ready to conquer whatever he faced next. Daniel would meet up with Ox for the first time on October 26th, with him giving him a pink sweatshirt that read Code Rainbow, one of the emergency codes Daniel made up for his managers to use if stuff got bad. Brink would eventually come back into the fray in November that year, saying he dropped the guy after finding out about the pedo leaks from a year ago after learning about him, finally giving people an answer as to why he deleted all those videos with him. On December 10th, 2022, things would get bad as Daniel would start streaming online in the car with Bob Proctor, with him yelling about how the motel threatened to kill him, an obvious troll by random people as they've been harassing the both of them that very day. He would repeatedly hit himself in the video to the point of bleeding, and when Bob threatened to call the police, he started to hit him as well. Bob would eventually follow through as it was clear Daniel was out of control and becoming a major threat for the both of them, causing a lot of controversy within his community.
The motel! The motel! The motel just threatened to kill me!
Get out of my car!
Stop! The motel threatened to kill me! The motel threatened to kill me! The motel threatened to kill me!
Get out of my car!
No! The motel threatened to kill me!
I have a person here in my car that's beating me. He's a friend of mine, but he's gone crazy, and he's beating me, and I need help.
No, I need help!
He would notably reply to someone saying that they both messed up, but it was clear that he was the bad person in this situation who was trying to shift the blame as people started to turn on him once again. Daniel would post a video while in the ambulance telling them about the motel situation, and a Redditor would chime in saying that things went down after someone pretended to be Grace Vanderwall and got into his YouTube account days prior to cause him some stress, in which he eventually lost it after the trolls said the motel threatened to kill him. Well, there's no evidence of someone getting into his account days before. It's leaning in the direction that this is true, as some community posts from prior read in a bit different way than Daniel normally types online. Soon after this, Daniel would announce that Bob was putting his music career on hold for a few weeks and was flying him out to California, and more specifically, Los Angeles. While some people doubted this at first, they would be proven wrong as he would post a picture inside the Colorado Springs airport shortly after, with people confirming that it was actually the Denver airport by checking his flight number. With a new life ahead of him, people were wondering if this would finally be the thing that could get him back on his feet, or if he would continue to go down this endless rabbit hole that seems to never end. On December 17th, Daniel will host a fan meetup on Hollywood Boulevard, with 6 fans showing up to meet the guy now that he was officially in LA. He would then find himself joining the church of Scientology soon after and posting a picture of the test they give out, with Ox saying on the 20th that he's starting to act even crazier than before now that he got all this stuff inside his head. A few weeks later, on January 6, 2023, Daniel will be spotted in a strip club despite being extremely broke, showing that nothing will stop him in his search for entertainment. On January 15th, Ox will make a post officially cutting ties as Daniel's manager, with his reasons ranging from the fact that he can't take care of himself and that he has a warrant out in Denver for his arrest after missing court, basically letting him handle the world on his own after planning to help him out one last time.
Some trolls recently got their claws into Dan, they got him to block me and stuff, but I just met up with him and I spoke with him in depth, and I explained to him that I'm going to have to pull out from his accounts, and I can no longer help him with trolls online. And that I am his friend. You know, I plan on bringing him some dry clothes soon. We're gonna look for some housing out here maybe. His delusions are all he wants in the world, okay? And the trolls are always gonna meet him halfway because they're gonna pretend to be everything that he wants, and they're gonna get what they want out of him. And I, in this conversation, explained to Dan that, you know, he's a laughing stock. He's never met Grace. They think that he's an idiot, that they're laughing at him. You know, all this shit. I gave him the truth. I laid it down on the table, okay? And I was harsh about it because I wanted to see if maybe he would just grab onto something. It doesn't seem so, okay, guys?
On January 16th, someone pretending to be Grace Vanderwall would get into his DMs and convince him to come out about being a pedo, among other stuff, with Daniel starting up a live stream confessing to everything for the world to see.
I admit that I am a pedophile, and I admit that yes, I hit Bob.
The very next day after this admission, he would find himself asking for donation money from his fans, in which they would start to see him posting videos at Disneyland later, with it being obvious he just wanted money to go and have some fun rather than actually needing it. 2 of his fans would actually help him get a ticket to go inside, and he would go on to post multiple videos after having a good day after many, many bad ones recently. People started to notice that Daniel had been wearing the same clothing since he arrived in LA, and given it had been a month since he got there, they would start to worry about his health and claim he got scabies, a condition where bugs live under your skin, after he was posting videos complaining about his arms itching with red splotches all over. He would even gain some traction on Facebook after a post warning people about him being at Disneyland recently would go semi-viral in Anaheim, and Daniel would eventually go to the hospital to check things out with his arms. He would get diagnosed with scabies as people expected and prescribed some lotion to help get that all fixed up, meaning he was indeed walking around Disneyland for a whole day surrounded by children and potentially spreading it around just a few days prior. Daniel wouldn't heed the doctor's prescription and would spend his money on a bunch of random stuff, but then one day he would wake up itching so bad he went straight to the emergency room where they gave him a shot of medicine and a washcloth bath to finally put an end to this ordeal. He would even find himself a new, clean shirt to wear, meaning he was now back to square one again to figure out what to do next as the month of January wrapped up. In the background of all this, the day that Daniel went to Disney, someone re-uploaded a video of Daniel's point of view of how his conversation with Ox went, showing that he was planning to walk into Paramount Studios to book a recording session for a song idea that he had, as he gives him one last piece of advice.
I have an appointment set up later this week.
If you walk into Paramount, they're gonna walk you out with security. I guarantee you.
No, it's a recording studio. It's not there. Like you have to have an appointment.
Okay. Are you recording music?
Yes.
And you already paid for the session, or you're going to?
I'm going to. So I have like an appointment to talk about like my idea, and then they're gonna give me like a rough idea of like what it's going to need. And then from there, that's how it sets up.
Okay, you need to make sure you have the money for that session before you go in there.
Yeah, like I can't just book it and then walk in. I know like how that works.
Well, listen,
I have to book it first.
I want to make sure that you know that I haven't spoken to any of these little kids who run this Discord server who are with you. Okay, I understand that they're making you money, but just know it's at your expense. Like they're laughing.
No, I know.
Okay?
I know.
They think you're an idiot.
I know.
Okay. So don't think it's some big business call when you go in there.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's a circus to them.
I know.
Okay.
Despite the overall perception of Ox being a clout chaser to most people, it was clear in this conversation he was genuinely looking out for the guy and trying to give him one last piece of advice before he moved on. While no one can tell if he was a troll turned supporter, if he was trying to help him from day one, none of that mattered much as Daniel's actions caused yet another person trying to help him to distance themselves due to his erratic nature. For the next few weeks, people would catch up with Daniel on some stuff they might have missed, like him dining and dashing like usual, getting kicked out of a mall for trespassing, and even getting kicked out of a cab for having no money to pay the guy.
I'm asking you, how are you gonna pay and what do you say? Card. You say card, you never say Medicare. If you say Medicare, I'm gonna tell you, I don't use Medicare here. For different transportation. But I'm asking you, how are you gonna pay? And you say card.
I have my Medicaid card, yes.
No. You never say Medicaid card. You say I have card. You never say medical card. You say medical card? Move, get on my card.
Excuse me.
Move, get on my card.
Don't have that attitude with me.
Get on my card,
I said don't have that attitude.
Get on my card now. You don't have no money and you're gonna, how do you want me to say? Please get out? Get the out of here, man.
I said I was.
Get on my card now, dude. I'm not joking around, dude.
Okay, you're being very, very unprofessional. I'm going to call your work and I'm going to get you fired.
Yeah, call my company and tell them you don't have no money to pay the transportation never. You cheater, dude.
They told me they told me when I called that.
Get on my car, dude. Get on my car, dude. Get on my car.
All right.
Get on my car.
On February 13th, 2023, Daniel would decide that he wanted to go to Las Vegas now in order to get rich so he could live in Beverly Hills, so he would hop on a bus there in order to make one of his biggest dreams come true. He would find himself making friends at random people at casinos while going down to Vegas Strip, and the next day would even try to convince a random couple to let him stay in their hotel room on Valentine's Day to no avail. In the morning of February 15th, Daniel would be found sleeping in a casino bathroom as the guards tried to get him to leave. He wouldn't budge, so they would escalate things trying to get him back on the streets and off casino property, which he starts to freak out as they weren't putting up with none of his act whatsoever.
You aren't gonna do shit!
Whoa. Down. You get stupid now? Let's go right now.
No.
Walk. Let's go.
Don't yell at me. I said don't yell at me. I said don't yell at me. I said don't yell at me. I didn't do anything.
I don't think so.
Don't grab me like that. Don't grab me like that. Don't grab me like that. I said don't touch me like that. I was just trying to use the goddamn bathroom, bitch.
Walk. Just walk.
I will kill myself. I just need some time.
What's going on?
The f***ing security at that motel right across the street sexually tried to harass me.
Alright, so this area is technically closed.
Him lying to the guy about the security is the icing on the cake here, as it shows he'll do whatever he can to make himself out to be a victim, and he was escorted back to the streets of Vegas after a quick checkup on his health. Daniel wouldn't heed the guard's warning and continued to try and sleep in casinos, getting banned from one in the process after they found him in the bathroom. He even almost got arrested after another guard found him yet again sleeping in another casino, as he was starting to become known around the strip for trying to sleep around.
As a duly appointed representative of the owner of this property, I hereby warn you, you are trespassing upon this property as defined by Nevada Revised Statute 207.200. If you do not leave these premises immediately, you will be subject to the arrest for the misdemeanor of trespass.
He would eventually get banned from all MGM casinos after a local Vegas native and fan would talk to him about what was going on, meaning that his goal in becoming rich was already in dire peril just 2 days into his journey. Later that evening, he would post a video asking for more donation money so he can get a room for the night, promising a live stream later that day. However, he wouldn't do the stream and instead would go silent, as no one knows what was going on with Daniel, and he seemed to have just disappeared again. Daniel's fans will start to spam missing posters of the man all over the internet, such as the Las Vegas subreddit page, with the mods of r/Daniel Larson shutting things down for a bit so they wouldn't get mass reported. However, a video will come out 6 days later on the 22nd when a Reddit user would upload a video of Daniel walking down the street after getting kicked off the bus for refusing to pay, sporting a completely new look of a shaved head despite not even being gone for a full week. He would come back to the internet the very next day on TikTok, in which he would upload a handful of videos explaining his absence was because 2 fans of his apparently assaulted him, with him saying that he got a fractured skull that would take a couple months to heal. People would speculate on who the assailants could have been, but given there were no leads to work with, their speculation would quickly fade away, with people just happy that Daniel was okay and back to entertaining everybody. Daniel will start to spam upload videos on the 27th, with the total amounting to just over 50 that very day, all which are mainly just giant rants as a housing situation he was trying to get into fell apart and he was now back to the streets once again. A lot of people were talking about everything he was saying with a grain of salt, as he's well known for embellishing and lying about stuff to get people to feel sympathy for him, such as him saying he made over $30,000 in donations alone and that Bob Proctor was unwilling to help find housing with him, with that part sounding like the most truthful compared to everything else he was saying, funnily enough. He would eventually get kicked out of Dave & Buster's later that day for dining and dashing once more, showing that he's still up to his old antics despite the dire situations that he keeps finding himself in. The very next day on the 28th, Daniel would end up privating his TikTok after his phone number got leaked, even going on to start a live stream basically asking for Grace Vanderwall to join and chat with him before giving up just 8 minutes in. Soon after this, he would post a video stating that he had a plan involving fireworks in the casino, telling his fans to wait for what happens next.
Okay, I'm going to go into a casino with a firework, and then I can see how real firing works.
He would get banned on TikTok for this threat, but would soon make another account on the site just like he's been doing for the past couple months by this point. He would go quiet for the next couple of days, with some people wondering if he broke his phone again or was hurt. But a Redditor would confirm he was under custody with the police after the constant reports of him around the city for the past couple weeks, saying that he was being treated as a mental health patient rather than a criminal. During this break, someone would post on Daniel's YouTube community page claiming to be the Las Vegas police and that they were searching for information about him. People didn't know how to treat this message, as while it was far more articulate than Daniel has ever typed, it felt like some trolls trying to mess with people while he was getting help from the mental health experts. He would eventually come back to the public on March 14th after being released, saying that he wasn't ill enough to stay permanently and that the doctor gave him a diagnosis of unknown psychosis, meaning that even the professionals were having issues figuring out just what exactly is wrong with the guy. On the 16th, he would post a clearly fake screenshot of his bank account, that which shows him with a whopping negative $750,000 to his name, though he had just a single dollar in his name to show everyone he was a well-adjusted individual and definitely not insane whatsoever. The very next day on the 17th, Daniel would go live on TikTok and start to read out the multitude of comments that he receives, with a lot of them containing threats and other phrases to scare him, with one person even saying they were right behind him that very moment. Due to reading all this out loud on stream, he would get suspended for a week on the site and would have to go elsewhere if he wanted to continue talking with his fans. No need to worry, however, as Daniel started to tease he was going to Phoenix, Arizona on his YouTube channel, even posting videos on the Las Vegas monorail as he began his journey to go down south. Some people doubt he was actually heading down to Phoenix, but he would end up posting videos inside a Greyhound bus station and eventually on the road, meaning that the travel arc had officially begun and Daniel was now once again on the move in the United States of America. On March 18th, 2023, Daniel would officially set foot in Phoenix and start up a video like expected, this time thanking everyone for donating to his Cash App and giving him shoutouts, even thanking Ariana Grande for a fat $70 as he began his new life full of endless possibilities.
Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, bro. You know my name. I stand up here next to the Sphinx. Yeah, that stinks, but you know, when I am king...
He would reveal later that day he stopped taking his medicine Latuda, a medication used for bipolar and schizophrenics to control their symptoms, citing slurred speech and the inability to think properly being the reasons as to why. Later that day, he would be seen hanging around a busport late at night despite just arriving in Phoenix, only to then announce he was now heading to Tucson as his vacation plans grew bigger. The next day, Daniel would arrive in Tucson and announce his plan to get some food now that he was off the Greyhound once more. He would hold true to his word and find himself a box of cookies and cream ice cream balls and post a video eating them on TikTok, showing him expanding his diet from the usual foods he was known for eating. Later on, he would find himself being approached by fans of his asking for pictures together, with people noticing he was now carrying a tent around as a fan presumably bought him one for his travels. It seemed that things are off to a much better start here in Tucson and Phoenix as he was already getting the attention he wanted, and so he would continue to hang around with them as they provided food, supplies, and company while he figured out what his next plan was. On March 21st, just 2 days after arriving in Tucson, Daniel would post a video walking around a rural street explaining he was now in an unknown location in the state of Arizona and couldn't name the town for safety reasons, saying that the next destination he wanted to go to was El Paso, Texas as he rambles on.
Can't say the name of the town, mainly for safety. I was going to go to El Paso, but I'm going to have to cancel that. Yesterday I was receiving death threats over going to El Paso. So I'm not going to El Paso until I can get security.
He would end up posting a video at a Veterans Memorial later that day, and people trace his location to Benson, Arizona, about 50 miles away from Tucson, with people still to this day having no idea how he ended up all the way over there to begin with. In the early morning of the 22nd, Daniel posts a video in a parking garage explaining that he got into the wrong bus and ended up in El Paso, even though he said he was already going there, now saying that he actually wanted to go to Roswell, New Mexico beforehand. He seemed to have lucked out heading on a bus that happened to be heading to where he planned to get to eventually, and he would end the video off stating he was waiting for another Greyhound as he showed off the sunrise for those awake in the morning with him. While eating at a restaurant, thanking fans and Bob Proctor for his music opportunities, he would end up running into issues with the police after a troll called him, though he would be let go shortly after, as this was one of the very few times he didn't dine and dash on it. He would post a video sleeping in that tent that was given to him in Tucson showing off his living conditions for his fans, and the next day would be seen walking to the nearest bus station to head off to wherever else he planned on going. Daniel would arrive in Big Springs, Texas on the 24th, in which he would lose his debit card but find it the very next day, though now he was saying it was apparently not working anymore. That same day, he would also start to post a bunch of videos saying he was still in contact with Ox, saying that they've been butting heads over what he's been doing and the way he's been acting, posting just under 50 videos in total talking about his beef with him. Some of these videos include him rambling about Tina Vanderwall and the restraining order that was being processed against him, showing that he's still obsessing over Grace and the Vanderwalls even on this spiritual journey of his. Daniel would continue to rant about Grace the very next day, saying that he was apparently in communication with her and she was trying to get him to disclose his social media passwords, even threatening violence against him as it became obvious to onlookers it was yet another troll messing with him. He would confirm that the debit card was working again, but that was apparently negative $60 in debt, and later on would post a video of a dog he found on the road threatening to hurt it if it tried to attack him. He would later upload a video showing a company car in the background on accident giving away his position, in which he would hatch up a plan to leave as soon as possible now that his cover was blown. Trolls would continue to insert falsehoods into his head for their and everyone else's entertainment, in which he shows more evidence of him still being in contact with Bob despite their falling out about 4 months ago now. Daniel will go on to post a video of him talking to someone who claims to be one of the people who got him kicked out from MGM back in Vegas, with them confirming the reason he was kicked out was because of having scabies and liking children.
Do you remember whenever you got kicked out of the MGM?
Yeah.
I'm the one who told the security and I'm the one who got you kicked out.
Why was that?
Because you have scabies and because you're a pedophile and you like children.
That is not true.
Despite this probably being yet another troll, he would go on to have an entire breakdown of what happened later that day, getting kicked out of a Walmart after someone recognized him and lied about taking a Greyhound to Wichita, Kansas, even saying that someone in a white pickup truck was following him around despite everyone knowing this wasn't true, meaning that he was having a certified paranoid schizophrenic moment and was posting it online for the world to see.
My location is fully doxed. My fans are doxing my location. There's been a person in a white pickup truck following me around all day long. And also there was a guy in the white pickup truck that was the guy that came up to me in person when I had to do the video. Fans are currently calling the Walmart in Big Spring Texas to try to get me kicked out because there's a guy outside with a gun.
So I came in on Greyhound. I stayed one night and I'm leaving. I was supposed to leave tonight, but when I came down to the Walmart to run a couple errands earlier today, because I'm a singer-songwriter, I have popularity, and I get noticed in public on a regular basis. There was this guy that noticed me while I was down at the Taco Bell earlier today. And he randomly walked up to me.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out where he stayed. He's just visiting. You're on the Greyhound.
Yeah, I'm good now. I was getting death threats earlier today.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm sorry you had that experience.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
You're fine, dude. Yeah, you're fine.
Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that?
Someone would find him hanging out at a fast food restaurant late in the night on March 27th, and he would start to run down the highway until being stopped by a police officer after passerbys made calls about him to them.
Hi. I'm doing good.
We got a call about you.
Sure.
We got several calls about you, actually.
Okay.
How are you? I mean, you're free to go at any time.
Okay.
So we got these calls, they were like, yeah, this is internet sensation. So I get on TikTok and I start following you, I start finding your videos. So I was like, this guy's here, I've got to go find
I saw you guys down there and I was like, I have a feeling that they're watching me, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, I just didn't know how, I didn't know what.
You're not in any trouble at all. You're free to go at any time.
It is said that after this, he would head into a gas station where people started to call him after finding out the exact location and start to harass both them and Daniel, but none of that seems to have survived the night, so that's all lost history so far. In the early morning the next day on the 28th, a Tina Vanderwall impersonator will leave comments on some of Daniel's YouTube video uploads, causing him to have another short breakdown. Later that day, he would meet up with the fan and would be introduced to the greatest party drink ever created, Four Loko, as well. His location would get leaked again, and so he would leave on a Greyhound to escape the incoming harassment, this time ended up in Sweetwater, Texas. He would see a random white truck and immediately get paranoid again, thinking they're following him, with people figuring out his location pretty quick as this had become a normal thing for them by this point. They would try to get him kicked out and even call the police to no avail, with Daniel even mopping the floors for $20 as people would say they saw him with a lot of food later that day. That morning, Daniel would end up getting kicked out of the gas station as people kept harassing and calling their phones, with him taking a Greyhound to San Antonio, Texas for his next destination. He would record himself sleeping at a bus station, even walking around the city for a short period of time, before heading back to the station and on another bus to wherever he planned next. The next day on the 29th, Daniel would arrive in Houston, but then the next day on the 30th, he would get into a confrontation with staff working at the station after they found out he was traveling without a ticket, meaning it's very likely he was doing this for majority of the trips he was taking, knowing how he likes to operate. He would eventually get kicked out for calling the police and being a nuisance in general, in which he would head to a local restaurant before people found its location and apparently called in a bomb threat to the owners. It is more or less accepted Daniel was just lying for sympathy, as there's no sort of commotion going on in the video. You could even hear a door opening nearby of somebody going in rather than out. He would eventually be asked to leave the place but refuse, in which the police were called and he would get agitated as they weren't putting up with his games.
I just have like a serious question that I do need to ask, okay?
Go ahead.
So recently I gained a bunch of popularity over social media.
We don't have time for that.
Okay, but can you leave? Somebody has been doxing my okay. Going into the police department that you guys are not cooperating. Call f***ing dispatch. Call f***ing dispatch.
We have to come back as criminal trespass.
Okay, you're putting me in physical danger. Bitch! I told you that I was getting doxxed!
Daniel would eventually find himself at a restaurant later that day and owing $40 after getting some garlic chicken pasta and Texas-sized nachos with chicken, in which he would get kicked out but return later to call the police, with things de-escalating after a fan stepped in and fronted the bill. Another fan would also find him later that day and take a picture with him, showing everyone that his fame online was very well known throughout the world by this point in time. The 31st would be pretty uneventful as he would just hang around Dave & Buster's until getting kicked out after trolls started calling their phones, in which later that night would start to get a bunch of threats from people online as he started running around the place asking for people to help him get the police.
Excuse me. I am getting death threats from a guy that is following me around. Can I, okay.
Now some of y'all might have noticed that Daniel's name on social media has been Daniel Larson NYC. Well, that's because his main goal was to get to New York and work with Grace Vanderwall, and on April 1st he would soon find himself getting help by another manager named I Wish I Had a Dad to help get a plane ticket to achieve said goal. This day would also be the beginning of the 3 Days War, a civil war between r/Daniel Larson and a Discord server known as Larson HQ. The war itself is pretty AIDS to go over, but the TLDR is that Oxa participated in a Q&A on the 1st to give his new managers advice on how to deal with Daniel. People try to make a fake plane ticket to troll Daniel, and I Wish I Had a Dad would get doxxed and his criminal record for child abuse to become part of this ever-evolving Daniel Larson lore. Daniel would go on to share photos of himself in the airplane with them on the 3rd, showing that he was indeed heading to New York and that this wasn't just another troll on him. On April 4th, Daniel posts videos in New York City of him having a bit of a breakdown on a bus, telling people to stop trolling him, even hitting the window at one point just to get him to stop.
Okay, the fans want me to go to a particular location. They're trying to plan an assassination attempt. I need security. I need help ASAP. This is serious. I'm under attack. Stop. You guys are fucking scaring me.
A fan will later pick him up and drive him around the city for a bit, showing that not even a full day into his adventures, people were already finding him with ease. Throughout the 5th, people continue to track him down throughout the city, with some providing gifts, food, and even a hotel to stay in for the night. However, a Reddit troll by the name of Zoc Monkey would instead start to stalk and harass Daniel alongside his friends, asking him questions like if he ever smoked crack and pretended to be his friend as he started to get agitated.
No, I'm not. Stop lying. Get out of here before I call the police.
I've asked you to leave. We're on the phone with the police.
Daniel,
I've asked you to
come on, Daniel. You know me.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. We're
No, I
friends.
don't. I'm on the phone with my security.
Are you smoking crack or tweak?
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. If you do not leave, I'm calling the police.
Later that night, Daniel would get into a call on the Daniel Larson HQ Discord server with his management and someone pretending to be Olivia Vanderwall, in which he would get pushed into an altercation at a bodega by the fake Vanderwall, encouraging him to fight an employee that was kicking him out of the store, before eventually getting punched in the face.
Police are on their way.
You wait for the police outside. Let's go.
I'm not going to do that because the police told me to wait here. I have you on film. I have you on film.
Get out.
You hit me in there. So of course I'm going to self-defend myself. Bitch!
Spit on him, Daniel.
You're gonna get arrested. Hey.
I have you on film. I had to hit him for protection.
Oh my God. Wait, show us. What happened?
Did you run away? Put your camera on. We have to record.
My knee is bleeding.
He would later post a video of himself getting patched up at a hospital and that he had no serious injuries after the altercation, showing that things will pick back up sooner than later. After the bodega incident, Daniel Larson HQ was shut down due to their involvement in the assault, and a leaked message between Taylor Swift and Daniel would show him still being paranoid about the white truck from back in Texas, with Daniel saying he wants to kill Michael Quinn. Now you may be asking, who exactly is Michael Quinn? Well, this leads into perhaps the most interesting side plot of Daniel's tour in America so far. Michael Quinn is the owner of the Feltman's hot dog stand on Coney Island, the company who is credited for inventing the hot dog over 150 years ago now. While the Feltman's company itself has since moved into grocery, Michael will get the permission to use the likeness of such an influential figure in culinary history, but being the owner of the stand wouldn't be what got most people to learn about him. His claim to internet fame is actually his relationship with World of T-Shirts, aka Joshua Block, another well-known TikTok locale who is known for hanging around New York City for a majority of his content. World of T-Shirts has his own lore going on, but his beef with Daniel would pick up in November 2022 after he challenged him to a boxing match, with fans from each side debating on who would win if it ever came to fruition. Michael would be one of the main people trying to instigate this, as it would lead to a lot of entertainment, and Daniel was seen during his journey to New York saying he was going to fight him once he gets there. Joshua wouldn't take kindly to this, and soon after learning about the bodega incident would show up outside the very store itself just a day later.
I made it in New York. I can make it anywhere. Unlike Daniel,
He made it 10 hours and then he got punched in the nose here. He's not a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. I'm the captain of the ship. I run New York. I run this city. Me. Woo!
This sign of massive disrespect would get a lot of people to start pushing a fight between the two of them. And before all this even happened, once Daniel was in New York, Michael would claim that people gave Daniel his address to try and force a meetup between the two of them. This would lead to a couple more tame videos talking trash about one another, with Daniel eventually getting fed up with all this as he posted his ultimatum.
If I were World of T-shirts or anybody from past management involved in tonight, I would step down because I have a gun.
This Guntur would get Daniel banned on TikTok again, as he would go on to make yet another account on the site, with him starting to make posts implying Joshua is weird because he's Jewish, which he's not, and wanting to start the rise of the Fourth Reich.
Four Reich is coming, and Kanye 556 is running it.
Also participate in a Q&A on the Daniel Larson subreddit on April 17th, that which mainly isn't too important in him just answering general questions, such as him admitting he thinks Daniel's a threat to society and that he's going to do something very bad one day. Flexburger would show his face online once more and leak a multitude of things in the beginning of May 2023. The first being the pencil incident where back in the pink room in 2021 he would insert a pencil inside himself on camera while naked. The second would be the shower incident where Daniel was naked and drying off from a shower. Nothing too interesting at a first glance. However, it turns out that he sent the video to his own mother as she would ask why he would do such a thing to her, with him saying he got hacked as hilarity ensued. The last to be a leak of an unreleased song called Wild Hearts during an AMA that Flex participated in on the Daniel Larson subreddit as well.
This goes out to the drifters and all of the dreamers are ready to fly. All those born to be rock stars are lifting their guitars and painting the sky. Can you hear me? All of the lost ones who are really lost ones keep shining their light. Goes out to the wild cards and all of the wild hearts just like mine.
On May 8th, 2023, despite their seemingly antagonistic relationship online, Daniel and Michael will be seen on stream together for the first time ever, with the plan being to introduce him to Joshua to complete the TikTok lolcow crossover of the century. On May 10th, 2023, Michael Quinn would successfully get Daniel Larson and Joshua Block to meet for the first time ever, making internet history and forever cementing themselves in TikTok and general internet lore.
New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
How many views are in this stream right now?
Let's see. 36K.
36K. Gotta keep going. You got Baron?
Oh my god. Yes.
Big fans.
Thanks.
You take pictures?
Yeah. Don't make too much noise.
Alright, Josh, look over here, Josh.
What did you do on Facebook to get banned?
Well, try following 5,000 people in one day.
Oh, they thought you were a bot?
They thought I was a bot, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like
that's how I got famous, actually.
On May 17th, Daniel will buy a ticket for a bus to Orlando so he can go generate income at Disney World and head back to Denver to produce an album. However, he would miss the bus and end up recording himself running to catch up to it, leading to the May 17th incident where he'd started an insane meltdown over this misfortune.
I need my gun.
Daniel would continue to freak out a bit as he started begging for donations now that he wasted a bus ticket to Orlando and broke another pair of headphones, and would even try to blame Michael and Joshua for his recent misfortune. The next day on the 18th, YouTuber John Jam would follow Daniel and Joshua around New York and mess with the both of them, not really doing anything malicious but just general trolling. On May 19th, Daniel would say that he needed money to get a plane to Colorado for a recording session in 3 days, but then would say that Justin Bieber bought up a ticket for him to fly to Orlando as his plan suddenly changed on him. He would confirm that he was now at the JFK airport and that he was drunk and happy to go ride Space Mountain soon. However, Daniel will make a post that read as if he had a much darker plan in mind for this plane ride into thousands of other people in the airport terminal. Things seemed to be on schedule for whatever plan he had, but then things would suddenly turn as he would start to say how there's a major problem and that trolls ruin everything. He would then announce a fan meetup at the Statue of Liberty for later that day, but to no one's surprise he wouldn't show up at all. People theorized onto what exactly happened with the flight to Orlando and him flaking out on his fan meetup, but then Reddit user SCNYC would find him waiting in the terminal for a flight back to Denver, showing that Mr. President was now officially heading back home after going on a vacation for almost 6 whole months. Nobody had a single clue what was next in the adventures of Daniel Larson, and all people had to do was wait and see what would happen, as if you remember, he has a warrant for his arrest in the state of Colorado for skipping out on court. On May 20th, 2023, Daniel would safely return back home to Denver and express his gratitude for finally returning home, showing that his vacation was an absolute success and he could finally get things back on track in his life. He would even post pictures saying he was hanging out with Bob again, showing that he was able to patch things up in his relationship with him. On the 22nd, he would already run into issues, however, as 2 guys pretending to be security that was sent to him by house DJ John Summit would start to mess with the guy, with them trying to impersonate other known electronic musicians like Excision and Daft Punk, as Daniel would start to get annoyed with him.
Please leave. You are not security. No, you're not. I will literally have my security press charges on you. You're not security.
I am security.
You're not security.
I am security.
No, you're not. Well, I'm also a celebrity, and it's illegal for you guys to just follow me around, let alone have me on video without my consent.
I'm a famous DJ, bro.
What's your name?
Excision. Daft Punk. He's Excision, I'm Daft Punk.
Okay, I need you to stop. I need you guys to just leave. All you guys want to do is troll, okay?
No, I'm not a troll, I swear. Daniel, John Summons sent us here.
John Summons is fake.
No, it's not.
Yes, he is. Show me the picture.
Show the picture. Show it to the camera so everyone knows on TikTok. Like, look, John Summit, he sent us. Listen though, this is John Summit. Say hi to John Summit.
Hello, this is Daniel.
Yes, this is John.
Can I ask why you are sending people to my location?
We're here to protect you, Jane, and we're giving you a presidential escort.
That Morgan Wallen?
No, that is the f***ing public defender's office and the Shut up! Just get out of here!
On May 25th, Daniel would get caught up in the Haagen-Dazs incident, in which he would get kicked out of a Haagen-Dazs ice cream shop after John Summit's security detail informed the staff he's a pedo, as he took it upon themselves to kick him out, with him having a meltdown soon after in expected Daniel fashion.
John Summit told me to ask you if you've showered any time recently.
Okay, I'm going to need to ask you guys to leave.
You still smell like poop. I'm security.
No, I'm serious. Why are you taking pictures of this man? Leave him alone.
I'm security. He's a pedophile.
How do you know that?
Do you want me to show you?
What? Yeah, show me.
Hey! You want to search on the brig?
Okay, I'm on the phone with
Get out now!
You have a warrant for your f***ing arrest.
Oh! Holy shit!
Alright. You're lying! Liar! Just because I'm famous, bitch! Hold on, I'm taking goddamn pictures!
After he calmed down, he would start to explain what happened and what led to him getting kicked out, with him saying he screamed he would murder everyone in the building because he didn't know how to get people to stop filming him in public.
I literally screamed, I will murder everybody in this area. If you be saying that stuff, man?
That same day, Flexburger would add the long-rumored bottle incident to the Flexburger leaks. That being a video of Daniel trying to insert what appears to be a soda bottle into his behind back in a pink room like the leaks prior. The next day, Daniel would explain the situation to everybody who was wondering what was going on, also getting upset because that day held significance to him as it was his late grandmother Nancy's birthday and it was ruined for him. On May 31st, Daniel will start up a Cameo account, a website where people can pay influencers to read out whatever they want for a certain amount of money. It was said that he started this up after seeing World of T-shirts successfully make a lot of money through the service, and his initial asking price is just $30, which given his immense fame in the TikTok sphere and general internet popularity, was a pretty fair starting point all things considered. You can see how he would gradually raise the price of his account for the next 2 or so weeks, but again, this wasn't anything crazy high, it was just Daniel seeing how much people were willing to pay him before he priced him out. Daniel would even update people after he raised the price to $50 on June 16th, saying it was to weed out all the nonsense requests he kept getting from his fans. Even though some people were annoyed by this decision, it seemed that Daniel finally found another proper way to make money online on top of his TikTok videos and fan donations, and overall, things seem to be heading down the right path in due time. Of course, it can't be too hopeful, because as we know by now, Daniel likes to get a little bit crazy on people sometimes. And this time, it was raising the price from $50 to a whopping $500 just 2 days later on June 18th. He would tell people it was because of his current situation and legal crap, with that legal crap possibly being related to that warrant out for his arrest or because he's always breaking public property whenever he gets mad. Daniel would continue to lose his mind that day as he would continue to raise the price for a cameo, eventually maxing out at $1,069 just for a single request from him. His plan to basically use his fans to pay for his crime scene to fall apart pretty quickly, as the very next day on the 19th he would bring the price back down to $50 before settling on $100 later that day. It would turn out that this rapid price change might not have been for legal stuff, as Daniel would be seen posting videos enjoying a Colorado Rockies baseball game on the 8th that very month, with people very quickly putting it together he just needed some extra cash after using it all for food and drinks and whatever else he bought at the stadium. The same day Daniel raised his price to $50, Reddit user TMZ_news would post a video through Grace Vanderwall's Instagram account of her telling him to leave her alone, though it was very clear this was just AI and another person pulling a prank on him.
This is a message to Daniel Larson. Please leave me and my family alone. You are not in contact with me and have never been.
Daniel would respond to this and since lost posts falling for the prank, and in turn would raise his prices in panic for the next few days for legal stuff, finally giving people an answer for the exact reason he was raising them to begin with. Now, people have been trying their hardest to get Daniel's Cameo page banned due to his past with children almost as soon as he started it, but it would turn out that Cameo told one of those who reported him that they didn't care about his outside activity off the platform and would only take action if he did something on their turf, much to their dismay. As Daniel was reaping the benefits of his hard work on Cameo, TMZ_news would reach out to Grace Vanderwall herself for any comment about Daniel on June 21st. She would go on to reply to him saying that she knows who he is and he's been a thorn in her side and has also been affecting her career due to his and her name being affiliated with each other by this point. TMZ_news would reply and show his condolences for what she's been going through, and Grace would message back saying she understands he's just trying to help and trusts him as things end off between the two of them. It's heavily debated if these are real or not, given the fact not only does it seem so outlandish that Grace herself would reply to a random person asking about Daniel to begin with, but also that TMZ_news has already shown a fake stuff as seen by that AI video he posted earlier that week. Most people write this off as fake, and given nothing ever came of this afterwards, it's likely that it indeed was. Daniel would continue to spend his money on whatever he wanted rather than be smart with it, such as posting pictures of him enjoying fresh drinks and food at a local restaurant, even saying he could afford more studio sessions thanks to this massive amount of sales he was making. During the middle of the Cameo arc, however, he would decide to use some of that money on more than just the usual amenities that he would buy, and in turn would kickstart one of the most eventful arcs in his online career. On July 9th, 2023, Daniel would adopt a dog named Zola from the Longmont Humane Society for what he described as security reasons, with intentions to train her to become his guard dog despite just being a normal house pet throughout her life so far. He would rename her and give her the new name Music, but even the people around him at the adoption center knew something was up with him just based off his looks alone. Nonetheless, he would somehow manage to pass this adoption process and walk out with Music, posting a video later that day with a bunch of fans now where he has a large dog in his hands despite him clearly showing to be incapable of taking care of himself, let alone a new pet. People from every corner of the Daniel Larson fanbase would immediately start making plans and working together to save Music before things got bad, with Ox even coming back into the fray and driving his motorcycle all the way up to Colorado to find him and get her to safety. He would get to the city on July 10th at 10:25 a.m. Daniel's time, but just under an hour and a half into his search he would call it a day and announce he was going back home, much to people's dismay. At 2 p.m. later that day, he would show people that he stayed around looking around Denver for Daniel's whereabouts, and in the comments will hint that he's currently at Union Station after someone tipped him off. It turns out someone indeed saw Daniel and Music at the station together, though he was notably talking to a handful of people as well. It turns out these people were Expo Productions, a group of friends who makes music videos and had spent time with Daniel before, with fans initially assuming they were aware of the situation going on with him and his new dog. They would end up heading to a river under a bridge to shoot some music video stuff for theirs while Daniel hung around and watched idly, with Music showing her discomfort due to a lack of food and water by this point in time.
Hey. You know who that is? Stop it. She just got startled. It's okay. She's a German Shepherd. It's her job.
Is that why?
Yeah. She's a German Shepherd. It's her job. She's, like I said, she's got the guard doggish attitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The dog is very, very well behaved. The dog is very well behaved, and
He only, like I said, has issues with people if they startle him or her. She is a watchdog, so her job, like I said, is to protect the owner. She is not vicious.
Daniel calling music a male at some points only made it even more concerning for people, as it was obvious even to those first learning about him that he was not mentally fit to take care of her, and so they would try to pin down his location throughout the day to no avail. Expo Productions would eventually report Daniel to the police after people told him what was going on and cut him off from then onwards, and though many others would call animal services, they were unable to get him throughout the day as he kept moving from place to place. People would make posters and post them all over Denver-related Facebook pages to warn people about him and call animal control if they see him together, with people commenting with potential leads and expressing their concern with what's going on. The Longmont Humane Society would even put out their own post after they were informed about him in his storied internet history, notably saying that he lied on his adoption papers and that they're working with law enforcement to find music and get her back to safety. Meanwhile, Daniel was telling people that music seems to be really picky as he only had fed her a puppuccino so far, which is quite literally just a cup of whipped cream and nothing more. He would even say how he plans on feeding her nachos to try and get her to eat something, and given that nachos generally have ingredients that are poisonous to dogs, and Daniel has already shown a lack of proper care for himself for years now, alarms are going off in everybody's heads and that they need to find her now, otherwise something bad's gonna happen. Someone named Golden Minds would be one of the many people who learned about Daniel and music, and just like everyone else, he wanted to save her before something bad happened.
I have put out a bounty. If you go and you find Daniel Larson, and you do 3 things. 1, you get that dog and bring it back to the Humane Society. 2, get that dog's papers from Daniel Larson. And 3, send proof that you did that to me, either on here, on TikTok, whatever. Send it to me on Discord, Goated Minds on Discord. If you send that shit to me, I will give you $100. None of his coercion seemed to be working as people couldn't pinpoint Daniel's location before he moved to somewhere else. And so he would form together SEAL Team 6 and multiple people willing to help out, with Flexburger even joining their ranks as well. Goated Minds and the rest of the members would get to work shortly after their formation, and they would soon start to put together Daniel's general whereabouts by checking the backgrounds of his TikTok posts and other potential leads, such as his love for nachos. Within the 24 hours that SEAL Team 6 was formed, Goated Minds would make a post on the Daniel Larson subreddit showing that they were able to safely get a hold of music and get her out of Daniel's hands, with everyone celebrating on that fateful July 11th, 2023 day. They would update people showing her drinking water at someone's place, and they would find out that it was SEAL Team 6 member Ween who was the one who tracked Daniel down and rescued music under the guise of pretending to be a vet. They would post updates showing him en route to the Longmont Humane Society to return Zola back to her old caretakers. While there were worries Daniel would come back for her, he never showed up to the place, ending the dog arc in just 2 days and as the shortest arc of all of Daniel Larson's history. The day that Zola was rescued, Daniel started to make posts asking people to help find her as he was in shambles after she was taken from him. He would start to say that Worlded T-shirts was somehow part of this plot against him, going on to say more stuff about how 911 isn't helping him and that he's innocent, even calling it a bomb threat and what he says was a way to get his family and security to safety, whoever the security may be. The next day, he would post that he was now out of police custody and was facing new charges, meaning that he did something to get the police involved to the point of arresting him. As people try to get a hold of Daniel to figure out what exactly happened, he'd make a post showing that he was injured in a Walmart during this arrest, with even more people on the case now to figure out what went down. Eventually, a random person would get on a phone call with him and put it on speaker while in Discord so that Goated Minds could record it, with Daniel telling the story about how he punched a lottery machine in a fit of delirious rage and continued to destroy random property before eventually getting arrested and let go, with Walmart trying to charge him for $2,000 in damages over gift cards among the other stuff.
Walmart charged me for the gift card.
How much money was that?
They're claiming $2,000 in gift cards. Because apparently when a gift card hits the ground, they legally cannot sell it.
Oh, because it's like it's out of
It's a bunch of bullshit.
the shopping cart at. Didn't you throw a shopping cart at someone?
They pushed the shopping cart into a 400-pound Walmart employee who pretty much said, like, what are you going to do? Because you have to get past me.
Yeah.
During this time posting on his YouTube community tab, Daniel will start saying a bunch of crazy stuff like how he will blow up the White House and try to threaten Bob into making a social media account to help him out with what was going on.
My entire family is now famous. All of our houses have been doxxed. We are homeless, and my fans are doxing, getting criminal charges on us that are all false. We will take this all the way to Supreme Court. We are not playing around. We have contacted security companies and they've all refused to work with us because they don't believe what we are saying about our popularity. I am done and I will not stop until the White House is blown up. Okay, I ain't lying about shit. Bob, I need you to go live right now. I need you to make a social media account and put it out there right now that I am not lying or I will kill you as well. So I just called 911 and I just literally just screamed, I have a bomb on the 911 number and randomly hung up in hopes to get this situation heard and to get my family the rights that they deserve and the security and protection. And if charges will be pressed, I will sue the entire US government and Supreme Court.
He would even start up a live stream ranting more of the same to the cops and how his popularity is out of control and how he fears for his life and all that, before he eventually heads inside an ambulance to the hospital to treat his injuries from the Walmart incident.
Well, I tell you what, Daniel, we got some good news for you. We got an ambulance right here ready to take you wherever you need to go. So if you want to talk to these gentlemen here, they
Sure.
can help you out, okay?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hi.
What's your name?
I'm Daniel.
I'm Jason. This is my friend
Hi,
Brad.
nice to meet you.
What's going on today, man?
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Come on up here, Daniel. Have a seat right here.
Even though Kamala Harris, or you know what I mean, never was president because she ran for president, she gets government-assisted security.
Yeah.
My popularity is to a level, or starting to get to a level, to where even if it doesn't hit social media, it's starting to.
Come on in.
So it's of that severe level now.
All right.
Now, nobody knew exactly what happened at the Walmart, as while he indeed was destroying their product, nobody recorded him throughout any of this ordeal, and only the police had any footage on their body cams. People assumed it'd be lost media forever due to the unlikeliness they would get their hands on the body cam footage. But on February 28, 2024, Reddit user Bodie Monster would get a hold of the footage and upload it online, finally giving people answers as to what exactly went down during his arrest.
I got my dog, Matt.
Just relax for me, okay?
I got my dog,
All
And then I got a text in the parking lot.
right, just relax. Just relax. We're going to get figured out what's going on, and then till we get figured out, we're just detaining you, all right?
Okay.
You just relax.
Okay.
All right, what's going on today?
So I just bought a dog, adopted a dog 2 days ago, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and I got a massive internet fan base.
Okay.
Two of the employees were just being overly aggressive, which freaked me out more, and I acted on fear.
Okay.
That's basically
Right. Paramedics are here. We'll talk a little more after they get a chance to talk to you. And you said Daniel Larson?
It's Daniel, yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't put hands on anyone at first.
Okay.
Now, Daniel didn't just cause some damage to the Walmart, as not only did he do that, he also attacked a bus full of senior citizens in his Delirium as well, with that being the event that caused him to end up getting pinned to the floor to begin with.
Did you see the guy that was swinging the bag around? Yeah, I seen him take. I heard him. He broke our window.
And we got lunch. She paid for my lunch. So, you know, I kind of knew her, not fully, but I knew who she was, what she looked like, and I recognized her.
As we saw by the end of that live stream in the ambulance, Daniel would be admitted to the hospital and wouldn't be heard from for a while, but that would change as on July 13th he would send a voicemail to an unknown party that's assumed to be his new manager Warren, giving an update on himself. He was clearly medicated based on the way he was speaking, and it seemed that this was for the best given what he'd been going through for the past few days.
Anyways, the phones do get cut off at 10 p.m. and they do turn back on in the morning, so I will call you again tomorrow. If you are getting this message, I will give you a call back tomorrow. Bye.
He would be released from the hospital on the 19th and immediately get back on his quest to find Zola and continue to lie about her getting chipped and apparently filing charges on Wayne for what she did. He would deny being medicated and upload a video titled Proof Daniel Larson Can Take Care of a Dog, that which is just a video of him giving her a little bit of water when he was still her owner. Nothing ever came of this after his release from the hospital, but things would continue to move forward as Daniel started to move on from the Walmart incident and put it all behind him. On July 20th, Daniel would be trolled by a group of friends calling themselves the United Contractors of Cargilliana, in which they would pretend to be a security company that found out it was Reddit mods orchestrated by Goated Minds to steal the dog from him, though as they were talking to him, Daniel seemed to be very suspicious of him as he recorded their interactions.
We're very great fans.
So what company are you guys with?
We are with the United Contractors of Cargilliana. Mr. Larson, let me pull up the website here. Hold on.
Yeah, it's like an encrypted website, so it takes a few minutes.
Sorry. So basically what we are is we're agents sent to contact very high profile people.
Yes.
You know,
only the highest up of the highest.
Yes,
up.
and we offer a multitude of services ranging from security to music production to regular construction, many different things. We work with all sorts of high profile.
With some of the most powerful people in the government.
Yes. Have you heard of Count Gams of Japania?
I have not.
You wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have. He is a very, very secretive individual, but he's very powerful. As you can tell by his title, he is the Count of Japania. So we came here with this. This is an encrypted, de-hacked phone. We want to provide you with.
Yes, and we want to switch it out with your phone so that we can de-hack your phone.
I cannot do that.
All right.
This actually has 2 other celebrity numbers on this phone that I cannot give out.
We can add those numbers onto this phone.
I cannot do that, sorry.
Okay. Although I must say, we do highly warn you about that phone. It is bugged.
I'm aware of that.
On July 22nd, he would be trespassed from a Gilwood Springs hotel after someone called the police and said he was recording children, with him explaining the story whilst riding a gondola up a mountain. That same day, he would post a video saying he found an apartment he liked for $3,000 a month, with a lot of people questioning why he would ever even try to live in such a place given his history of craziness and financial illiteracy. He would answer these naysayers the next day as he would post a screenshot showing he's made just under $6,000 on Cameo so far, which was pretty impressive all things considered, especially for somebody like him. However, Daniel will start to scam people on the site by not fulfilling their requests and instead just sticking his tongue out at them, with videos showing him promoting his music rather than reading their messages as well. As this was building up, Daniel will start to lose his mind on July 23rd and post a bunch of nonsensical stuff onto his YouTube community tab about Jacob Sartorius and Grace Vanderwall being threatened by the Taliban, including falling for a fake tweet by the FBI and how they're investigating him and his past of lusting for underage girls, before going on to do exactly that in a state of madness he found himself in. On July 24th, Daniel would go live multiple times throughout the early morning and afternoon talking about Grace and his need for a security team and a whole bunch of other delusional stuff, showing that he was not in a good headspace at all. At one point, however, he would run into someone who seemed to have known him before his online fame, with a conversation so bizarre to hear.
Oh, hi.
Hi, buddy. You remember me?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I know. How's it going?
Well, I'm famous now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I'm a singer-songwriter.
Pause my workout here. Singer-songwriter?
Yep.
I heard your grandma died.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It was sad when I heard that too. You know, your Nana and I had a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were just talking about you the other day. But...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you.
You too, Danny. Be careful, all right?
All right, will do.
Okay.
On July 26th, Daniel would post that he was attacked at a gas station by a random person on his community tab, before posting videos explaining what exactly happened to him.
I broke a gas station window with a rock. I was getting harassed, okay, at the gas station. Plug my phone in at the gas station. I try to call Warren. Warren answers, and immediately there's 2 people that were at the gas station getting gas, starts coming up to me and is like, do something, kind of, trying to cause a fight.
The guy would grab Daniel by the throat as he rambled on trying to explain the story, but people are more interested in the mandatory court paper he got pertaining to the Walmart incident that he showed later that day, showing that the police weren't letting him off on this one anytime soon. On July 27th, someone claiming to be Daniel's former caregiver between fall 2019 to spring 2020 would come out and allege a lot of very serious things about the man, such as him wielding knives and biting him at one point on the arm, leaving him with the scar to forever remind him of that experience. He would even say that Daniel tried to engage in relations with this cat, which if true, is absolutely disgusting. However, this person doesn't back up anything he says about Daniel with any proof. And given the severity of these claims, it would be reckless to promote something so vile without evidence. So until there's proof to this, it's best to write it off as just a troll stirring the pot. For the sake of it though, here's a snippet of the dude's voice in case this could bring any more leads in the future.
His roommate would have no reason to make that type of allegation, being as how the cat was in his room, which it shouldn't have been.
That same day, Daniel will upload a 13-minute video hanging out with Bob in his car, with them arguing about how Daniel finds himself in bad situations all the time and other various subjects going on.
You just seem very, very, very controlling. Very controlling, as if you are like my guardian all of a sudden. And you've been acting that way. It's my money. I could do what I want. Because everything would have worked out better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I f***ing suck. And I'm sorry I have a small f***ing dick.
You don't have a small f***ing dick. There's pictures of you just as big on there. If I'd have told you tonight that I wasn't coming to get you and just hadn't showed up, what would have that been? If last night I spent an hour and a half looking for you.
I'm sorry. And I'm sorry we keep busting our money out on motel rooms as well, when we should have been putting it towards the apartment or house, like more permanent housing. I'm sorry. I also know that if I get back into disability housing or resources, they won't want me on social media.
They probably won't, just like they didn't before.
I know. And that's also why I didn't want to do that at the time. I wanted the apartment.
The next day on the 28th, Daniel would post videos on TikTok confessing that he was a pedo with his account getting banned shortly after for obvious reasons. And on the 29th, Jacob Sartorius himself would make reference to Daniel, though it seemed he didn't know who he was other than some dude on TikTok.
I think it's somebody that calls me out in all their videos or something.
That same night, he would post videos saying that there are people stalking him in their cars and talk some more about Grace. And on the 31st, would post videos with no audio of another fan or troll recording him and presumably calling him names. On August 1st, 2023, Daniel will leak messages with a random person about him saying the N-word when around him and that their deal's now off after learning more about him, also mentioning how his fans harass anybody who he comes in contact with. He'd also leak a picture of a former manager for the world to see, and later that day would post a video showing that he got soaked from a thunderstorm the night prior and was all wet and dirty. On the 3rd, Jacob Sartorius would again talk about Daniel and say he has no idea why he keeps bringing up his name. And on the 6th, Daniel would say Grace Vanderwall apparently has to show up to an upcoming court date for an indiscernible reason. He would also get kicked out of the Colorado Mills Mall by security after they recognized him, in which he would start to call for a boycott due to what happened. On August 9th, Daniel would be banned from all Smashburger locations in the world after dumping water on a manager the day prior, and for the next week would find himself in a variety of situations, such as spending $40 on mac and cheese from a Panera Bread restaurant, throwing perfectly good food away from Panda Express into a nearby river because of what Jacob Sartorius did to Grace, whatever that means, and even spent $500 on a handful of adult toys as well. It seemed he thought he would keep getting that cameo money rolling despite scamming those wanting him to read out their stuff. But on August 16th, they would step in and ban him from the service after enough people reported him, meaning he was now officially back to square one once again. Daniel would get his plane ride to New York canceled after leaking a ticket and trolls doing their thing. And on August 21st, he'd be found sleeping under a bridge while lying about an upcoming court date for whatever reason he may have had. Things were spiraling once more in his life, and on the 22nd, he was threatened to blow up a nearby park and that he has a gun in another one of his crazy unhinged rants.
To the investigator, I don't play around. I'm at your location. I have a gun. You're not at my location, and if you do put me at gunpoint, like I said, I've hidden bombs at this park. You will blow up. Don't play around.
Later that day, someone would spot him at a Subway, and the next day he'd post a bunch of messages such as threatening to bomb Bob if he didn't pay up soon, or threatening to hurt himself as it was clear he was going insane once more. An anonymous person would start to threaten to get his Cash App shut down because of him and his actions, and he would be spotted on a bus by another person later that same day. On the 23rd, Daniel will start to get into conspiracy theories and talk about the Rothschilds because someone told him they were behind all the trolling, and later that day would rant about Grace moving in with him only to choose Jacob instead because he can cook good barbecue. The next day, he would throw away more perfectly good food, this time because of his anger towards Columbia Records and Grace for whatever reason he may have had. On the 26th, he'd almost get hit by a car and call them the N-word while yelling to the distance. Then the next day, he would stream himself saying the word once again.
hell. All of Columbia Records are
On the 28th, a video will leak out of him using one of the adult toys he bought, and later that day he would post another video apologizing to Grace and Jacob before saying she's pregnant with this kid and that he'll become Jacob's cock.
Grace has admitted to me that she and Jacob have been trolling me all along, and she is in fact pregnant. She says that she will break up or not break up with Jacob, but she will actually give me a chance, and I will become Jacob's cuck.
On August 29th, Daniel's most volatile breakdown would happen thus far, with it starting off with him breaking the window of a random place once again. Daniel will leak messages with the fake Grace Vanderwall that had been tormenting him for a while now, calling him names as he pleads them to stop, with the troll continuing to push him as he stated he was threatening to kill Beyonce now in his fit of delirium. He'd threaten his own life once again for people to see, and the fake Grace would continue to antagonize him by saying that Tyrone, someone who is a made-up boyfriend of Grace's all in Daniel's head, would find him and do things to him once he does. Daniel will start to threaten to blow up the White House again, going on to add every single police station in the world alongside Columbia Records and the entire United States government as well for good measure. He would call Warren the N-word and go on to try and dox Grace Vanderwall during this as he continued to crash out on the timeline, before going on to threaten Bob again for what seems to be no reason at all. He would go on to claim that Russia finished the job on Grace shortly after all this, then going on to threaten Tina Vanderwall and Grace in the same vein as the troll kept up with their trolling. He would wish for his nudes to be off the internet to no avail, and later on would text 911 a screenshot of the fake Grace in an attempt to get everything to stop. Alongside all the screenshots, Daniel would also post a video saying it was for Grace, so let's take a look at his message for her together.
This message is to Grace. Grace is a and a hater, and I will always hate her now because of what she did. And yes, I will bomb the White House. I will bomb the White House. I will bomb every single police station in the entire US. And Grace told me to make this video.
Train to Union Station departing in 1 minute.
Later that day, he would post a video crying and hitting himself over and over, even going on to slam his head into a nearby wall multiple times. He would continuously say that he wanted Grace dead and that she was the one behind all this manipulation, but it was obvious to everyone that it was the fake Grace Vanderwall account that was causing all this to happen to him by pushing him more and more for their own amusement. Among all of this stuff going on, Daniel Larson will leak messages with someone named Daniel McDougall, an FBI agent who was telling him to meet up at a location tomorrow so they could talk. The next day on the 30th, he would post a video showing him walking up to 2 Secret Service agents most likely on his case due to his constant threats, with them making him turn off the stream before they talked to him. The next day on the 31st, he'd get into an altercation with Bob again, with this one ending off with Bob kicking him out of the car and speeding off as Daniel tries to claim he ran over his foot.
And I'm not going to eat today at all. And I guess I'll starve tonight. So what is it?
Get out.
I'm not going to do it. Because I had my phone...
Get the f*** out of my car!
Okay, don't grab me.
You want me to break your arm?
If you break my arm...
Then get the f*** out of my car!
Okay, then let go of me, f***er.
I'm gonna call the cops now.
No, because you hit me!
Get the hell out of my car!
You hit me! Ow!
Get away from my car!
Holy f***ing hell! You ran over me! You f***ing ran over me, f***er!
He would then post a video in a Motel 6 hitting things and repeatedly saying that Bob ran him over with this car despite this being yet another lie, going on to say the same on his YouTube community tab for his fans to see. As Daniel was ranting about how he wants a restraining order against Bob after what he did to him, he will go on to say during all this that people wanted him back in the hospital and on medication again despite saying it made him more aggressive. Later that day, he would call the police and explain to them what happened with Bob, but he would end up getting trespassed and banned from all Motel 6s later that day due to people constantly calling and telling him about him. He would seek refuge in a nearby Denny's but get kicked out as well, and soon enough the police were again called to tell him to leave the premises and move somewhere else. On September 4th, Daniel will set up a fan meetup but then cancel it later that day, and 2 days later would announce his travel ban was now lifted and that people should be looking forward to new content. This new content would consist of showing off his trench foot the very next day for his fans to see, and on the 8th while live streaming himself walking around, he would feel it pop and say it felt watery.
Oh, crap, my foot. God damn. Ow. I just felt something pop. Now it feels all watery.
During this time, he was going off on Bob again due to their tumultuous relationship between one another, and later on would start to melt down over yet another troll pretending to be Tina Vanderwall harassing him through text. He would then threaten to quit his music career due to the advancements of AI technology, and would once again threaten to kill Bob if Grace cheated on him recently. Daniel would get a job with Uber Eats on September 10th, showing that he was finally heading in the right direction in his life, but later that day he would post a video announcing some unfortunate bad news to his fans.
I just got fired from working with Uber Eats because trolls started calling their office.
However, he would move on undeterred from the trolls trying to kill his vibe, as that same day he would announce he was planning to enroll at CU Boulder University to begin his educational career. Daniel would reminisce about when he was a kid and post a picture of him and his mom together, and later on would officially confirm that the college arc had begun as people waited to see what would happen next. On September 12th, TikTok user 22Dope aka Nate would post a video showing Daniel hanging out with him and his friends, with him holding up a shirt announcing he was part of a new fraternity.
Ready, say it loud.
Hi, this is Daniel Larson, and you guys should buy Capita.
Nate and the others would convince him that he was now part of their fraternity despite this being untrue, even getting him a fake ID as Daniel now believed he was an official student at the university. They would give him a tour around the place as he started to acclimate to his new environment, and later that day would be seen hanging out and having a good time with his new classmates indoors. Later that night, he'd be seen hanging around the Taco Junkie tequila bar as people recorded him, with Daniel kissing a fully adult woman on the cheek, showing that he is indeed interested in adults as well as children as we've already seen. Daniel would record a random person and say it was Flexburger, though it's more likely it was a troll who said it was him or Daniel just being crazy. On September 14th, a throwaway Reddit account would post a compilation of videos and images of Daniel hanging out at the college with multiple students surrounding him, showing that Daniel was doing okay for himself.
People are being actually, like, dangerous.
Okay, so if people are being dangerous, you can say the N-word.
If I need to for safety, just scare them off.
Like a tactical slur?
Wait,
Her name is Nick, last name Gur. Put it together.
Daniel! He would even have an interview at a local Panera Bread that same day by someone named Dylan, with them talking about his basic goals in life, like how he wanted to start his own company one day. This would eventually turn into a conversation about politics, in which Daniel had a couple of interesting things to say about that subject matter.
What would you do about the current war in Ukraine right now?
I probably shouldn't say this, but I would take a nuke.
Hardline option right there, man.
But I would do it on a country that is very small.
Oh, so you're not even
so
gonna
in other words, so I wouldn't nuke, like, say, Russia or China, because that would start World War II.
That would.
But I would nuke a very small country. Everybody would wonder what's going on, right, and who did it, right? But at the same time, it would be like a warning.
So it would be a covert. It would be a covert warning nuke on an independent, nothing to do with the war country, and that won't start World War III.
Because
if you just nuke a country,
it's a small enough country.
Because they know you're not playing around.
They would know I'm not playing around, and it's a very, like, small country, and if done right.
Despite everything going on, things did seem to be well for Daniel so far, but that would all change on September 16th as he would get arrested for third-degree assault after hitting a security guard at Folsom Field en route to join former NFL star and current Colorado Boulder head coach Deion Sanders on stage.
Bro, it's Daniel Larson. Holy shit, Daniel Larson. Take out his ass.
It turns out this is a troll pretending to be Deion that was encouraging him to trespass towards the football facility to meet him, with their text messages basically consisting of the troll encouraging Daniel to get past security to meet up after learning he said the N-word, with it obviously ending with Daniel getting banned from the campus. On September 19th, Daniel will be released from the Boulder County Jail and say he wasn't a student at the campus anymore because of what happened, going on to explain the story to a fan who happened to run across him while sitting inside a bus. On the 21st, someone would get a hold of the police body cam footage of the arrest, that which isn't too interesting given it takes place after the initial fight and apprehension by the school security team.
What's your tag on you?
It's Daniel Larson.
Daniel Larson? Okay, that's right. Daniel, how's your YouTube channel going?
Not good. There's been people that are manipulating and posting stuff without my permission.
Oh, okay.
Despite knowing about his YouTube channel and probably some of his past, the police would take him inside to ask him some more questions before eventually leading him into their patrol car and driving off to take him to jail for the next few days, ending the college arc as the second quickest storyline at just 6 days long. The same day the police footage was posted, people would also find pictures of the police going through Daniel's backpack, with one of the photos they took including those adult toys looking crusty and unwashed at the bottom of the bag. On the 26th, Daniel will lose his mind on the timeline once more and start to post a bunch of things like how if he doesn't go live, Bob will die and that Grace is locked in someone's basement right now, with Daniel making it his life's goal to save her from her captors and also saying that Agent McDougal's still in contact with him. Later that day, he would stream himself eating some food and walking around a bit before some police came to question him, with Daniel going on to call him bad after they let him go. On the 30th, he'd be seen recording a small little concert in Golden, Colorado, and later that day, someone on Reddit would post a photo they took standing right behind him that very moment he was recording. On October 3rd, 2023, Daniel would get arrested for failing to appear in court, but bail was paid soon after by whoever wanted him free. Later that day, he would say he apparently has 5 more court dates to look forward to when replying to someone, and in another reply, he would go on and tell a story about how when he took off his sock, the trench foot was stuck to it and he pulled off a layer of skin when he finally got it off. He would end up getting one of his YouTube accounts banned, and so he would make 2 more named Daniel Larson Freedom and Daniel Larson Management to compensate, also making a new TikTok account as well, going on to post a very interesting video about the kind of stuff he saves on his phone.
So, one of the people that was impersonating to be Grace Vanderwall did send me video verification, but the video verification that they sent me was a photo of a child. When I tried to save that for investigation to show to Daniel McDougal, Daniel McDougal, the Secret Service agent, actually saw it on my phone and didn't believe my story at all, and actually decided that he was going to confiscate my phone, so I might be charged for child pornography now, because people who were impersonating to be Grace sending verification was sending me like actual child pornography for verification.
On October 10th, Daniel would be trespassed from the Colorado School of Mines after hanging around a place obviously not being a student. The next day, he would steal food at a restaurant from someone named Daniel McGill, thinking it was his because they both had the first name Daniel. And on the 13th, Daniel Larson Management would be taken off of YouTube. Soon after, he'd make 2 more channels on the website in typical Daniel fashion, and later on would post a video stating that he's preparing for a pandemic-like crisis that will happen in 2025. On October 23rd, Daniel would post videos of some fans giving him a haircut at a local park. However, the next video will show that they moved on to using a razor and cutting everything right down the middle of his head to get some quick laughs, but then they would soon abandon Daniel, marking the beginning of the reverse Mohawk arc.
Where did they go?
He would sit by as they said they'd come back, and soon enough they actually would, though they would say their car was broken into as they went to get the blow dryer. This story would eventually turn into the car being completely stolen instead, and when facing the camera at them, you can see someone wearing the same exact shirt seen during the college arc, showing that those guys are still messing with him, going on to ditch him with the haircut as Daniel realized he was now in a bad spot. The reason why is because the very next day, Daniel would show up to court sporting a reverse mohawk to figure out what his situation was going to play out like, and on the 31st, he would appear in front of the judge still with the haircut and receive 6 months probation as well as a mental health evaluation from back during the Walmart incident in July. He would also tell people why he apparently wanted the haircut to begin with, naming his inspirations off for his fans keeping up.
I wanted it to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger got struck by lightning, just like Albert Einstein.
He would post a video saying someone was trying to spin the block on him, but it was just a random dude in his car with a cup of coffee, and it seemed that he was in for another major crash out judging by how paranoid he was getting. Things would only get worse for him as he would get banned from all Dave & Buster's in the world, and on November 10th, 2023, Daniel would get spotted by a group of trolls again as they would follow him around and eventually end up at a Panera Bread, except this time instead of keeping his cool as they tried to get away from him, he would have a complete meltdown as both bystanders and employees started to record him for the world to see.
Because those people are causing
Daniel would end up getting in a call with his managers and started to record the aftermath of his meltdown with his face clearly injured from hitting himself, in which he would get banned from all Panera Breads but not get arrested by the police for whatever reason they might have had.
Because I'm going to tell the police that you tried to assault me. Tina, I need you to leak this all over the internet, okay? When's the last time you used drugs or alcohol today? I don't use drugs and I don't use alcohol. I will say differently. I always have dry eye. No, it's not dry. Really dilated pupils while you're inside sitting in a light. Why on the table did you turn over, Daniel? The manager tried to put hands on me to escort me outside. Don't think that was probably it. And because you're in here acting like a Looney Tunes. I felt endangered. Where'd all these fans come from? They just found you out of nowhere? I'm a singer-songwriter. I have music on iHeartRadio. Roaring Thunder.
The police would eventually take him to the hospital to treat him for his injuries, and Daniel would give his official statement after everything went down.
Okay, Bob is doing nothing to help. And I will go to his house with a gun and I will kill him. He's basically leaving me to die right now. There's actual cars right now following me, planning a murder. Okay, and Bob is being a because he's doing nothing to help.
Despite Bob always getting caught in the crossfire for some reason, Daniel would move on from this incident and on November 14th would be spotted by a fan as he was getting ready to celebrate his 25th birthday the next day, saying stuff like how Agent McDougal just wanted to leech off his popularity rather than make sure he isn't a threat to national security. On November 30th, he would appear in court for the Colorado Boulder University situation, in which trolls started to mess with the judge and everyone in the session on a live stream.
I'm going to expel someone named Warren from the WebEx. Excuse Mr. Sassa for disrupting court and expel him from court as well. Mr. Larson, did you hear all of that?
I did, Your Honor.
And is that how you want to resolve your case today? Is you'll plead guilty to an added count of count 3 of attempted third-degree assault? It's a class 2 misdemeanor. I'd place you on 12 months of probation, order 48 hours of community service, anger management classes, and a fine. You understand that?
I understand that.
And I'm going to continue with the condition of stay away from Folsom Field. It'll take a few minutes and we'll give you information on that probation, where to check in with probation and the clerk. Do you have any other questions for me?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Since Folsom Field is a part of the CU University campus, do I have to stay away from the entire campus, or could I
just Folsom Field?
Just Folsom Field. So if I wanted to, I can reapply for college?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you.
Despite things seemingly heading in a good direction, they were not, as it was very obvious by this point Daniel was starting to lose control more than ever, and shortly after this court stuff, things would only get worse for the man. Daniel would say that he was planning to rob a bank and end himself at Lowe's on December 2nd, and the next day people would find the homeless shelter he stayed at for the night after he was posting about it online. Throughout the 8th and the 9th, trolls pretending to be Grace and Tina Vanderwall set up a bunch of unsuccessful meetups just to mess with the guy some more, including at a restaurant where police were called after concerned customers overheard his phone conversations. He would eventually get arrested and let out on bond the night of the 8th, and for the next couple posts would mainly wander around telling people about these meetup plans despite everybody knowing it was just more trolls. On December 10th, 2023, exactly 1 year after the first Bob and Daniel car incident, Daniel would get caught up in the Olive Garden incident, in which after falling for trolls pretending to be Grace and Tina and getting a table at Olive Garden, they would start to call the restaurant itself and harass him after he'd been sitting there for hours, causing him to try and kick him out as he started to melt down on him.
Okay, yep, FBI vehicles are here. I see them outside. All right. They're already here. They're out in the parking lot. I have an FBI investigator. I work for the Secret Service. They're investigating as well. They're investigating my entire fan base to make sure that, like, I am safe and I don't get trolled anywhere I go. Okay, I just got sent a picture of the police holding Grace to a car outside.
Did they point at you?
I'm performing a citizen's arrest, so the FBI is outside. I have more than enough photos coming in. Okay.
Who are you arresting?
I'm arresting every single person here. I'm arresting all employees.
So you're telling me that you're a celebrity?
Yes.
Okay, do people take pictures of celebrities, right?
Right, but you were back in back.
Yes.
Printing off documents.
I was?
You said that and it's on video.
That I was printing off documents?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm gonna ask you to come over here actually. You're not filming me, correct?
I am legally required to.
No, you can actually just leave now.
I don't have to leave. The FBI is here. I have photos.
Okay, sir, this is what I'm gonna tell you. You're gonna calm down right now. You're gonna stop filming me, or I'm gonna call the police and they're gonna remove you from here. I know that's what you want. I know that's what you're famous for on Talk, but we are not doing this. You're gonna curse at me again, or you're going to leave.
I never cursed.
Okay, sir. What I'm gonna tell you right now is you're gonna stop filming and you're going to leave, or I'm going to call the police right now.
Go ahead and call the police.
Thank you. I will.
I just got sent pictures and photos of Grace being assaulted. I'm not gonna just sit here and call those photos fake. I got sent them from the FBI.
I'm gonna ask you again not to curse. There's children in here.
I just got word from the FBI and Rick Yorn, LBI Entertainment, that you are being sued. I just got notified that Rick Yorn at LBI Entertainment, who is the CEO, has called the head manager and the CEO of all Olive Gardens, and you're fired. They might be on their way, but don't know yet. Wow. So in other words, the police are also trolling along with you. So wow, that's a bunch of information now that I needed. Wow, thank you.
You're so welcome.
I also the guy with the curly hair that was sitting next to me here, he's undercover. So we have more than enough proof.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, whoa, no sir!
Nice job trolling! That's pretty funny. I have proof that you guys were back in the back printing off my nudes off of a website. I have the Federal Bureau of Investigation in contact with me. I have an investigation going on.
How are we doing?
I'm waiting for the police to show up.
Okay. What's going on tonight?
I will not say until the police show up. I'm filing for a citizen's arrest. Grace Vanderwalls, because that's a celebrity I'm dating. I'm in contact with her security and her parents, okay? Now, I have proof from her security, okay, and the managers here who actually know me, I've been coming here for months, okay, were leaking my nude photos from one platform to the subreddit.
The police ended up not caring that much given he didn't attack anybody, though he would get trespassed and banned from the Olive Garden for a year, and an employee will post a picture they took in the Daniel Larson subreddit itself as they were familiar with him and his online antics. The employee would say how he took up a table of 8 and that the server missed out on a bunch of profit for hogging the empty table all evening long, and on the 11th would find himself being confronted by a line cook at another restaurant who called him a retard before he left later on. On December 15th, he would start up a new Cameo account called Daniel Larson Work 2024, claiming that Grace got him unbanned, but it would get banned early in the next morning, not even making it a full 24 hours. Later that day on the 16th, he would get trespassed for not being able to pay the bill at an IHOP, with the same cops from the Olive Garden incident showing up to de-escalate everything.
Listen, I don't think you understand. I can't go home until you pay your bill.
I said I was going to be paying it online. I have somebody else that's going to be paying through the app.
Okay, but you said that almost an hour ago. My shift's been over for almost an hour.
Yeah.
I really want to go home.
Right, but the other manager called the cops, so I'm waiting for them to show up.
All I know is I really want to go home, and you're preventing me from getting my children into bed, and that really sucks. I was supposed to be home an hour ago.
Okay, then I will pay the bill if they call off the police.
Okay, well, let's make sure that happens, and I'll go talk to my boss for you. But can you make sure that happens?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
I will work on that
to go
for
put
you.
my children to bed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hey, Daniel.
Hello.
Remember me from Olive Garden?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. What's going on today, man?
So I had somebody paying, and the IHOP wouldn't let me.
A few days later, Daniel would get the police called on him again in another restaurant for not paying the bill, though this time they would put it on the house as they probably didn't want to deal with him any longer. He would also say he got banned from every restaurant in Golden, Colorado after this, to no one's surprise. He would have court on the 20th, get forced to go to therapy on January 10th, 2024, and would also owe about $10,000 in court fees according to himself. He would say he was in contact with Grace Vanderwall's manager Lauren when it's just another troll, and he would announce that same day he was going on tour with Grace in 2024.
Lauren, Grace's manager,
is going to be paying for my plane tickets and my passport for the world tour with Grace.
The next day, he would cancel the tour, however, leaving a lot of fans saddened by this sudden change of plans. Also that same day, Daniel would announce that the Jefferson County Police banned him from all restaurants within their jurisdiction, saying he'll go to O Block if he needs to for food.
I guess I could go to Chicago to O Block for Christmas dinner.
Later that day, however, he'd be seen at a restaurant not heeding the police's warning as he really wanted a milkshake that night. Around this time, another manager of Daniel's named Clark would become a lot more prevalent after participating in an interview at Flexburger, and leaks from the Daniel Larson team and family management Discord server would show he was in on a trolling as far back as November 2023. Daniel would announce he was going back to college in 2024 and needed a new laptop as soon as possible, and on December 23rd would end up getting into an altercation at a hotel in Golden after fans called them and warned him about him trying to get a room.
I don't want the issues, and it's a red flag when all of Golden knows about who you are, Daniel.
It's because I'm famous.
I don't care. I don't care if you're famous.
So
they're calling our business saying that you're causing trouble, and right now you are causing my property trouble. So I need you to leave.
Okay, then I'll leave the state of Colorado.
Bye. See you later. Are you serious right now?
Yes.
Why? That's why you're kicked out. Get out. I'm calling the police. Get out.
You guys are ridiculous. Like, just because I booked a motel room?
Don't break my stuff. Don't break my stuff. Get out, Daniel. Now. Get out. Don't come back. If you come back,
then I'll leave Colorado.
Get out. Get out.
Then I'll leave Colorado.
Get out of my property now.
Then I guess I'll violate probation and leave Colorado.
Goodbye.
Because all this town is reporting me.
Goodbye.
Later that day, he would be seen hanging out with two fans at a grocery store, and on Christmas Day would be seen eating at Panera Bread despite being banned from the chain. Later that Christmas Day, he would try to get into contact with Bob, only to find out he apparently wants nothing to do with him anymore, and after getting that news, he would start to melt down once again as that relationship was officially severed.
I was trying to be all nice to Bob. I know how he doesn't want me posting about him, but after tonight on Christmas Day, I have no choice but to slander his.
Further on later that day, he would go to the hospital after not feeling well and would get discharged the next day after they determined he was in an alright shape to leave. Daniel would continue to eat at restaurants and say the FBI and Secret Service had him on their radars, and later on would be seen hanging around with more fans as life went on for the dude. The next morning, he would record himself running saying shots had been fired, and would then show that a fan got him a sandwich as he had been starving. While he was eating it, some more fans would pull up and hang out with the guy in the parking lot, and it's presumed he would show somebody following him around with a drone in the middle of the night as he wandered around, and the drone would continue to follow him throughout the night as he would tell it to stop following him the next morning.
Please stop filming me before I call the police.
Flexburg would then post a video on the Daniel Larson subreddit of someone giving him fake money, meaning that even though he had a bad Christmas, New Year's Eve was looking to be a blast as 2024 was just around the corner with people waiting for what else he would get himself into. On New Year's Day 2024, some trolls would come up to Daniel as he was telling them he now charges for pictures, which they'd throw a cup of Mountain Dew at him. The next day, an OnlyFans chick would say she wants to collab with him, but later on would take it back as she learned about all the disturbing stuff surrounding his name. Daniel posted pictures saluting, continued to talk bad about Bob, fake getting into a car crash and text to him, and on the 5th, more trolls would pull up and spray water from a water bottle on him as he ran away. He would then go on to say that the Secret Service was investigating goated minds, and would later threaten that 2024 is going to get very scary very quickly.
2024 is going to get very, very scary very, very quickly.
Also on January 5th, 2024, Daniel would post a picture showing that he was eating at a local Panda Express, in which the people trolling him that day would find the exact location and pull up chairs and mess with him while he ate. They would eventually get up to leave after someone mentioned how they're hanging around with the weirdo, in which the stragglers would follow him around the city in their cars as he kept trying to get away from them. They would eventually follow him into a Barnes & Noble's bookstore as they were both recording each other, and after this they'd finally leave him be and move on with their day. On January 9th, Daniel will start recording an officer at the Canvas Credit Union in Denver in which it's mentioned that he has 5 warrants out for his arrest in Colorado, and on the 11th would confirm that he was recently arrested at the Denver International Airport. He would also say that his odds for disappearing are at an all-time high, meaning that his legal troubles were starting to get too much for him to handle.
The odds of me disappearing for a certain period of time
is at an all-time high.
He would then be seen a few days later wearing a new pair of Turtle Beach headphones while on the bus, later on making a post on TikTok saying for people to stop asking for him and Bob's locations, implying that they're still hanging out together despite everything they've been through. His probation officer would tell him that he's banned from Colorado Boulder University despite his plans to go to college, and on the 20th would say that Clark wants him to go to UCLA instead. The UCLA arc would start just 2 days later on January 22nd, 2024, in which Clark and a couple other trolls would set up fake classes for Daniel to take all while he thought he was actually going to college. On the 24th, he would post a couple screenshots of the stuff he learned about ancient Texas, such as the old cities of Houstonia and Dallas, the roots of the giants that roamed the sandy plains, a general timeline of how far back the history goes over the course of many centuries, and even the very first king that ruled it all, King I Shit and Farted. While he was in class, another warrant for his arrest would be put out on the 23rd after failing to appear in court, and a couple days later would record some cops in the mall after he claimed someone threw a cup of pee at him and they were looking but didn't do anything. On January 26th, Daniel would get kicked out of the Aurora Hospital for not wanting to leave and get trespassed, in which he would go live on TikTok to record everything for the world to see.
What's your badge number? Yeah.
I'll give you a card. How about that?
That's straight up harassment.
Okay, cool. From the hospital, do not come back in here today unless you have a medical emergency.
Well, if I'm trespassed, I ain't never coming back ever.
Fair enough.
And I guess I'll leave this in Colorado.
Fair enough.
Maybe I should go to Bob's house and actually, with a gun and a bomb, and bomb his house. Because if he's stupid enough to not believe that this bullshit is going on, and then the Daniel McDougall guy wants to think that I can make a bomb and I have guns and all that stuff, I might as well just get by one and then really prove it to them.
On the 28th, he would set up a fan meetup at the Aurora Mall but cancel it after learning it was closed that day. And on the 31st, said he might start walking barefoot because his shoes are in such poor shape, and admit to dine and dashing almost every day for the past 4 years. It seemed that Daniel's life was at an all-time low once the new year started, as while fans were starting to come a lot more often to check him out, nothing else was in his favor as he wandered about Denver looking for his next meal and place to sleep. His education at UCLA seemed to be put on pause as he hadn't been in class in a few days, and things would only get worse for the man as time progressed. On February 3rd, 2024, Daniel will be live streaming and said that he'll have to go on lockdown soon and call Clark for help, saying that he's been seeing the same police officer following him around multiple times that day and being very paranoid overall. People write it off as general Daniel paranoia and move on with their day, but a mugshot will come out later that very day and show that he has indeed been arrested, much to everyone's surprise. On February 6th, someone will get a hold of the police body cam footage and post it online for the world to see, showing that they tracked him down to a mall and caught him while he was eating lunch, saying he was under arrest for one of his warrants and failure to appear in court as per his probation rules.
What we're gonna do too is issue a trespass from this mall. It is for life, so you're not welcome back. We have all your information here. We're just gonna get a picture of you, and then after today, you're just not welcome back here.
Okay.
All right, so as long as you stay away from the mall, you should be all good, okay, brother?
And it's for life?
For life, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just wanna look into the camera real quick.
Do you know what type of warrant it is?
It's a probation violation warrant. All right.
Do you know if it's a bench warrant or?
It's like a $20,000 warrant.
Was met with the officers that arrested me. They grabbed both my arms and put them behind my back.
It's called arrest control.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like it was kind of aggressive.
It may have been a little aggressive.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what kind of warrants you have?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do you think that due to the fact that you have a history of being violent with other people, that maybe that's why they did that? Because here's the thing.
Right.
If they do that and then that keeps you from being violent, then that keeps you from being hurt, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay.
And I agree.
On February 5th, the day before, Flexberg will leak out footage of Daniel's college classes as he was sitting in a jail cell, showing that he was in ancient Texas, music and entertainment, ancient songs, and Rise of Cheng, giving people insight on the massive catalog of knowledge they bestowed upon him.
Ancient Texas goes back 3,000 years. Now, something that's much closer to home that happens to be in Texas is the Temple of Quanterius III. This is a pyramid that was constructed 2,500 years ago in Texas. But this is a great example of the Temple of Quanterius in Texas. I believe it's located 5 miles from El Paso currently, but yet again, this is ancient history of its time. But yeah, so Ashidam Farad was the first man inside of ancient Texas who actually established the royal family. All right. And he lived around Houstonia. And we're going to talk about Houstonia because ancient Houstonia was the foundation city of modern day Houston. Right. And I'm sure you've learned about this in school, or this is something that you learned about in maybe middle school, high school, depends on which course you were in. But yet he was the head monarch of the state of Texas, or the ancient city of Texas. All right. Next, we have famous movies, right? Here's a list of famous. I included a lot of Disney movies, so I'm struggling. So, has anybody seen any of these movies here? One of the best productions of music that I've seen in some of these movies was Hiroshima. Hiroshima was recently released 2 years ago by Disney, and that won multiple Grammys for its musical production. Or has any input on the soundtrack?
I like One Jar.
One Jar is very good. Same people who created the movie Up. Music is very, very old. Before the dawn of time, people were making noises and tunes, but the first official song was written in Brazil. Now, who was the first songwriter? The first songwriter ever recorded in history was Chief Sleip Mahas. Chief Sleip Mahas was the chief of the Empire of Brazil, and he was the chief who brought music to the empire. And a lot of people loved a lot of his songs. Would anybody like to volunteer?
I would.
Okay, for sure.
Song by Reuben. I went to the town with a frown. The people laugh over me. It wasn't my fault, and I got hard on the corner of Orphanage Street.
Hey, that was real good, man.
Very good. Thank you very much. So the first emperor of Imperial China was Tao Chen Maidek. He was the first emperor of Imperial China, and he invented fortification. So he was one of the most important leaders of China and founded China in the way that it is today.
Important implementations to our country.
Excuse me, can I ask who this government official is? Is it from the U.S. or is it a Chinese government official? Just curious.
Excuse me, Mr. Roshan, none of your business.
So let's talk about traditional Chinese.
Yo, my friends Deuce and Boner, they said they swore they saw a dragon over Baltimore one time.
So let's talk about traditional Chinese naming, okay? So you've heard the names before from in the beginning, but the Chinese typically use pots and pans, and the sound...
Is our teacher okay?
I'm sorry. My wife just knocked over a dresser in my room. She was walking by and knocked it over. I was not expecting that, but I'm sorry for being distracted here. The Chinese typically use pots and pans, and the sound of throwing these pots and pans. Babe, why are you?
From February 8th through February 23rd, Flexberg will leak 4 phone calls Clark had with Daniel, in which he says that he had a $20,000 bond and basically just chatting together as Clark asked general questions about what was going on.
Did they have you in like general population, like with a bunch of other people?
I guess it's considered protected custody general population.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not quite sure, but everyone is friendly, everyone is kind. I'm getting some help, from the inmates, trying to cope. But yeah, I don't know why they put my bond so high.
I know, $20,000.
What I would do is I would set up a Venmo, Cash App, GoFundMe, and grind.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it will get up there fast if people grind.
And
like give it like 4 days max. My big concern right now is just about college. I thought I lost contact with you.
Don't worry, Daniel. I never give up.
They do have tablets, and people are going around to sale showing all of my photoshopped, not even the real photos, but photoshopped photos of
Are you serious?
Yep.
Have you been working out?
It's just to a point. I don't really. Yeah, so what I would do is I would talk to Tina and kind of go from there.
Okay. I can do that for you.
Going to negotiate a reinstate the probation.
So you would have to do another 6 months to a year, probably.
I think it would be another year, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
They
that
would restart it for another year.
that's better than jail time for sure.
Really haven't been doing much. I've been playing cards with a couple people. Been playing Rummy. Been thinking about Grace and thinking about us and how we want to try to move things forward. And besides that, I just haven't really talked to her.
Oh, are you in the trustee pod right now? So all those guys are like good guys and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, that guy looks like. Oh shoot, he's coming behind you. Oh.
Yeah, there's a door right here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's open. So.
On February 14th, he would actually appear in court as someone got a picture, going on to get transferred to Boulder County Jail soon after. Soon after the fourth video with Clark was posted, things would go silent for a bit as people wondered how much longer he would be in jail. But on March 1st, 2024, he would be released back into the wild, much to everyone's surprise. The very day he was released, Daniel would make a new TikTok and YouTube account named Daniel Larson Free 2024 and would immediately get back to normal life, such as going out to see the movie Bob Marley One Love in theaters on the 3rd. On the 6th, he would already be seen having issues contacting his probation officer, and later that day would be denied service at a restaurant due to his reputation around Colorado. On the 9th, he would get a proper haircut after who knows how long since the last, and a few days later would say that he and the Vanderwall family are filing a joint lawsuit together in this perpetual state of delusion. Daniel would get a fake letter from someone pretending to be Interscope Records containing money inside, later on saying it was from Grace herself and confirming that it was a grand total of $5 now to his name. He would then claim that the Vanderwalls are looking to move to Colorado to be closer to him, and on the 16th would get banned from yet another restaurant after they recognized him. He would also start to talk about Dylan Clark, someone whose claim to fame was calling up Sandy Hook after the initial December 2012 tragedy and threatening them a decade ago back in March 2014 when he was an edgy teenager looking for attention. However, Dylan isn't very important to this story as he only recorded a couple unimportant interviews with the guy both in January and March 2024 after Daniel was kicked out of a homeless shelter on March 18th.
And so your probation officer wants you to come see him and everything like that, but he's just not helping you out getting there or anything like that?
Nope. And he's not. Like last night, I stayed on the streets last night in Boulder. I had nowhere to go.
The next day on the 19th, Daniel would get arrested again for being a fugitive of justice from another state and had a $1,000 bond set up in his name. His mugshot would get released for the world to see as people wondered if he would stay there for good now that he's been arrested twice in less than 2 months. And on the 21st, he would have a court hearing online for the world to see.
Please take advantage of those resources. I will revoke and reinstate your probation with the same terms and conditions. I'll authorize transfer of probation to Boulder to be arranged through Jeff Cove Probation, and I'll order that you report to probation no later than by tomorrow, Friday, March 22nd. But ideally today, you'll check in with them, talk to them about your desire to transfer probation to Boulder and follow their directions, okay? Mainly stay in touch with them. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much.
The next day, he would be released back into the wild, much to everyone's shock once again, this time updating people on how his probation officer helped him get groceries and that a major economic collapse will happen soon. He would announce a new wave of content coming soon in April on the 23rd, but that would end up coming early as later that very day he was threatened to kill the FBI while running away from students from Colorado Boulder University that recognized him.
The FBI can go ahead and press legal charges on me. I will just kill their ass.
On the 25th, Daniel would give a homeless dude a piece of cake after he got done eating, showing that despite everything, there's still a little bit of good inside him somehow. Later that same day, however, a troll would make an AI voice of Grace supposedly firing him with an Interscope record employee in another AI video, Jacob Sartorius, with Daniel posting both online as he had been tricked once again.
Okay, so Daniel lately has been very lazy and it's pissing me and everyone off. I think I am going to break up with him because he is too damn lazy.
She doesn't want to be with you if you are going to be a criminal, you fat.
On the 26th, he would say that he's meeting up with the FBI and that they want Bob to testify against him in court, adding that if he violates his probation, he loses access to any housing resources currently available to him. On the 27th, he would go live while walking to court over the Olive Garden incident from a few months ago, but he would end up being 4 hours late and missed it completely. He would even find himself recording a random truck at Walmart in a flooded parking lot, only for it to turn out it was fans of his as they noticed him and got off to take a picture. The next day on the 28th, Daniel wouldn't really do much other than buy food and the normal stuff like we've seen, and later they'd go live talking about Bob. It's just a bunch of nonsensical rambling about how Bob is apparently plotting against him, but the most interesting part of the video would actually be in the comments after someone asked if he's hearing voices in his head, in which he would indeed confirm so as nobody seems surprised about this. On the 29th, he would record himself walking down the highway and say he was making a 70-mile journey from Denver to Colorado Springs, and later that day would actually pull it off as he recorded Pikes Peak just off in the distance. On the 30th, he would record himself chilling in Colorado Springs, and in the title says that an angel came down to tell him it wasn't safe in Denver anymore, meaning that it seems he made it out just in time. On the 31st, he would show himself in a hospital for an unknown reason, and later that day after being discharged, to start asking people for money so he could afford a hotel for the night. April 1st, 2024 would start off with a bang as he would upload an AI video of Bob, Ox, and another online figure named Gypsy Crusader speaking on Discord together, not realizing this is completely fake and he's being trolled once more. On the 2nd, he would be live streaming himself on a bus back to Denver, but it would get pulled over later off camera and he'd be arrested once again. He would get released the very next day again to people's surprise, and that same day the body cam footage of his March 19th arrest would be posted online for the world to see. On the 5th, he would vent about Bob and the US government alongside his probation appointment being rescheduled for a later date, later on apologizing to Bob for harassing him and trying to pay a restaurant he just ate at. On April 6th, Daniel would start up a livestream running away from Buffalo Wild Wings after a manager called the police on him, and later that day would post a video how he was in the hospital because his trench foot issues had started to get worse. However, he would soon have another meltdown over all these issues, plus Bob apparently being mean to him, not knowing that this was yet another troll the entire time as Bob has ceased contact with him since the second car assault.
You, Bob! You! I will bomb your house till the day you die! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Kill you! Kill you! Kill you! Call the feds on me, you liar! Bomb! 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 This is a message to every police in the world! Kill, kill, kill! Kill! Murder! This is the message to the feds! You don't listen to me! I will kill you too! Murder! Bomb you! White House too! Bomb you! Bomb! 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 Kill! 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 This is a message to Daniel McDougal. You didn't listen to Bob and me, and this is what you get. Kill, 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 kill! Kill, kill, kill!
Daniel would go live the next day for just 2 minutes, mainly just complaining about his legs being sore, and on the 8th would be seen in a restaurant as an employee would come up and ask for a picture before declining them. As he would completely own someone in the comments asking why he keeps uploading the same videos multiple times, he'd make a new account on TikTok named Daniel Larson and post a picture of the solar eclipse on April 9th. On the 12th, he would go to the hospital for food poisoning after his stomach started to hurt and suspect that it was Jacob's doing. And the next day after getting discharged, would show a piece of paper with info on it saying that he was diagnosed with delusional ideas. On the 14th, he'd create yet another YouTube account, going on to record himself picking at a pimple on his nose the next day. That same day, Daniel would walk from Boulder to Longmont and back to Boulder for what seems to be no reason at all, and will later on warn everyone trying to bring him down about his new plan.
This is a warning to the FBI, CIA, courts, and anybody trying to bring me down. I'm moving to Hollywood and there's nothing you guys can do about it.
He'd make yet another account named Daniel Larson Hollywood Family Account as he was planning his escape to California soon on the 17th, and later that day would get some tuna from his probation officer to help feed him. However, all of this would be overshadowed as that same day the real Grace Vanderwall herself would finally make a public comment about the guy when replying to someone on TikTok, with Daniel immediately made aware about the news as he planned on what to do next. He He would say he got his ID stolen by a restaurant manager but changed it to Jacob Sartorius a few days later, and that same day he'd take another picture with some fans who recognized him. Daniel will upload a selfie and say he has $250 in savings, post a video saying he needs a pair of emergency socks for his trench foot, and the next morning on the 23rd will upload a picture of a McDonald's hash brown in his mouth. That same day, he would announce he was getting a new ID soon and record a troll watching him from their car as he was sitting down around that night, with him saying it was Jacob Sartorius stalking him. On the 25th, he would upload a video saying that 2024 would become worse than it already is, which given everything we've seen so far, was surely a bold prediction to make. He would also upload a bunch of videos in a restaurant talking about future plans and such, saying that he needs to pick up his new ID the next day and that his next 5 days are booked. That same day, a federal warrant would be put out for his arrest, meaning that the entire police force in the country was now on the lookout to get him into custody as soon as possible. Daniel would go to the DMV for his ID on the 26th, but they wouldn't let him in, and the next day would announce he was now charging $50 for pictures due to his ever-growing popularity online. The next day, he would also get kicked out of a restaurant by police despite the federal warrant being out there, meaning that even though he was a wanted man, the news hadn't made it that far yet. On the 28th, he would find himself at a Buffalo Wild Wings again and order over $50 worth of food, and when he obviously couldn't pay for such an expensive meal, he would expectedly get kicked out for dine and dashing yet again.
Okay, if you don't get payment, don't come back. Alright? I don't want to see your face here again, because it's twice now.
Okay, because I was going to have somebody pay,
I'm just making sure you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I'm aware.
On the 29th, he would become inactive on social media for a bit as he was on a bus to Boulder, with people wondering what would be next as things seemed to be at a bit of a weird standstill. On April 30th, 2024, Daniel Robert Larson would be arrested by FBI agent Daniel McDougall at his probation meeting, with him being transferred to the Clear Creek County Jail the next day as his federal mugshot would be posted online for everyone to see. While some assumed it was because of this comment he made on his community tab recently, it was actually all those bomb threats that he'd been making that led them to finally escalate things as the feds figured out he couldn't control himself and needed to stop him before something bad happened. The list of charges will leak out to the public, showing that Daniel was facing 6 counts of use or threatened use of explosive material and 1 count of interstate communication of threats, with all the charges together adding up to a $1.75 million fine and up to 65 years in prison if convicted. Each occurrence was explicitly written down in detail, but given it would be redundant to go through each and every single one as you already get the point, I won't be showing them all. Just know that the government has been watching his every move since July 3rd, 2023, after he made a threat during a meltdown that day that surprisingly enough hasn't been publicly archived as of this video. It is said this started building up back when his Spotify was hacked earlier in June 2023 with someone posting a picture of Jared Fogle on the front page trying to extort money out of him, but either way, things are not looking good for Mr. President here at all. On May 2nd, Flexburger will leak a call between Clark and Daniel, with Daniel saying that the police are apparently looking into Bob for fraud, that he is officially a flight risk, and that the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center in Lakewood, Colorado he used to live at was entirely evacuated because of a bomb threat he made to them once.
The feds pretty much got me.
The feds got you?
This time the feds got me. And Bob told me that it wasn't going to happen and he didn't believe me. And I went to probation yesterday and sure enough the feds were there and they charged me with 7 counts of threats from the threats that I made. And not only that, the feds apparently are looking into Bob for his finances, and the feds are also on top of that now looking into my bank statement, seeing the real amount that he was giving me.
So they think Bob was also committing fraud as well?
They think that he's committing fraud. The main concern the judge said is that it is one step away from doing so, and that's their concern if I get back out. And they're also concerned that if I get back out, I will go back on social media and
property of Larson League.
And that's what the judge said. And you know what? I'm okay doing a little bit of time. You know, I would rather show I'm going to be good, you know, than create more issues, right?
I agree. I mean, you did well with your 27 days, so.
My public defender also said that they were going to reach out to Greece.
Okay.
Their biggest concern is apparently DDRC. They had to fully evacuate.
Jeez.
Recorded by Clark and Associates.
After like comments you made one time, they had to evacuate like the whole building or something.
Yep, and they brought in bomb sniffing dogs.
Jesus Christ.
The next day on May 3rd, the feds show up at Clark's job looking for him with every manager, past manager, or anyone who's ever been part of any mild trolling against Daniel starting to go AWOL as things started to get very real very, very quickly. The craziest news, however, was that Bob Proctor himself would contact Clark after he heard Daniel was apparently in a fight in jail, and Clark would go on to say that Bob told him he was still in contact with Daniel despite their last incident together. So while Daniel was indeed getting trolled by a fake Bob, the real one was still behind the scenes trying to help him out in whatever way he could as things fell apart leading up to his arrest. On May 6th, Clark and Daniel have another call together, this time with Clark folding and admitting to the UCLA classes being fake, that he's been pretending to be a lawyer, and pretty much fesses up to trolling the guy for months now that the jig is up.
It's one of the most important things I'm ever going to tell you. All of this has been, it's fake, man. I mean, I'm not Clark, I'm not a lawyer, I don't work for Interscope. Grace doesn't want to talk to you. There isn't Grace. The only reason Grace knows you is because she thinks either you're a predator and creep, and the only time you've ever talked to Tina was because she was telling you to back away. I mean, it hurts to say UCLA was fake, Interscope was fake. Every single thing that we did, it was fake. I mean, none of that was real, Daniel. I mean, and I can't keep leading you on here. And to be honest, you do need to learn your lesson. And I know we've acted like friends for the past 9 months, but really you're a sick guy, man. And I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt. Then I would see you send those to 15-year-old Sky Brown, say your things. You need to get some help. And I've been recording everything. We even worked with McDougall for a while, and I'm done. Like it's over, man. There isn't anything else to say. I've been lying to you. I've been faking everything. Grace doesn't even know if she knows who you are, she thinks you're a weirdo. And yeah, I mean, and I get some circumstances, but at the same time, you really are a menace to the streets of Colorado. I'm a 20-year-old kid from St. Louis in community college, and I know literally nothing. So, I am gonna say I won't be answering any more calls anymore. This is probably the last time we'll ever talk. But you don't. That's the thing, Daniel. You keep convincing yourself, Grace and all that. It's not, she doesn't want you. Like, I've never talked to her in her life. How do you think all our calls end up on the internet, too? Like, I mean, it's over, you know? I'm sorry, not really at the same time, because this has been the weirdest 10 months of my life, and I've had to been talking to a pretty much for that whole time while also hurting my image. I even got fired from my job in real life for this, Daniel. So,
to be honest, I kind of knew that you were trolling, and that's why I kept questioning everything.
Despite the call together and Clark saying he would never speak to him again, Bob would reach out and say that Daniel wanted to have a man-to-man talk with him, and so on May 9th, Daniel and Clark would have their final talk together for the last time ever.
Sorry, before you say anything, I want to tell you that I am extremely sorry, and I want to try to fix our friendship.
I mean, it's not just, I feel like you have a lot of people to say sorry to, mostly, not just me, more like Bob and the restaurants and all the people that, even Grace, in a way, for tormenting her and her family for the past couple years.
I agree, and I will take the blame, but I want to fix everything. You know, we all make mistakes, and, you know, we
I agree, and I know that Bob's been talking to you recently, so I hope you said sorry to him and everything, because I'm surprised he's even still talking to you after everything that went down.
I understand. And, you know, with Grace, I also understand what you said about it.
And that starts with me being honest too, and I regret even all the fake Graces and all that. Yeah, that wasn't right to do for Grace too, because I don't know her in real life, and I know she was probably not happy with people pretending to be her for the past couple years. So that does start with us too. But, I mean, the way you took it was a little too far in some ways, and I mean, and I do think...
I do agree.
Yeah.
You know, we've been in contact for so long now, you know what I mean? I want us to be friends.
I mean, you do understand everything I told you, though, in the last call. Like, all of this has been pretty much made up. I know it's hard for you to know, but you got to realize that before the trial, before they think you're crazy.
Right, and, you know, I agree.
I mean, and
I do have to say that I do kind of know I do know what my public defender is going to ask tomorrow, but I don't know if they're going to approve it this time or the next court date. But I do know that we're making progress in the right direction.
Okay, well, I think this was a good conversation, but everything starts with a couple sorries here and there. Do you have anything that you want to say to, like, everybody out there? Like, because I'm guessing people are going to get these phone calls through that, so you should, if you want to explain yourself to everybody on Reddit.
You know, what I want an apology to the entire fan base, and not only his fan base, but I want, you know, an apology going out about the leading of the phone call and stuff like that.
And just everything, even Sky.
Like literally everything at this point, you know. I mean, if we go into detail, it's going to be way too much right now.
True.
You know what I mean? And we're on a timed phone call with, you know, money going through. I'm to a point to where, like, I want to try to fix this with everything, and I want the real truth to be heard.
And the truth will be heard, Daniel, so I gotta go, but
That same day, Daniel's public defender, Jared Westbrook, will file a motion to release Daniel as he had a court hearing the very next day. And on May 10th of that very day, Daniel will plead not guilty, and Judge Norman Neurater would deny the motion and place an order of detention based off everything we've seen so far, meaning that he was staying in prison. Bob will give some more insight coming from Daniel's point of view and how things went down, saying that they told him he was being held until a mental health evaluation and that nothing was accomplished, among other things. On May 27th, a document would be uploaded showing the chain of events and the legal proceedings, with the most important part showing that his trial is set for July 15th, 2024 under the watch of Judge Regina Rodriguez, with updates on the 23rd showing an order being granted for a psychiatric evaluation of Daniel and his mental state to determine if he's competent to stand trial or not. On May 31st, Daniel will be transferred to the Inglewood Federal Correctional Institution, the same prison that Jared Fogle is currently being held in, meaning that it's extremely likely the two have come across each other by this point. Now, people assume that Daniel's mental health evaluation wouldn't get in the way of the trial, but on July 10th, the day his plea hearing was supposed to take place, more documents leak out and show that all the upcoming court dates are actually cancelled on May 23rd, back when the evaluation was first granted. It seemed that Daniel was missing in action over at Inglewood, and nobody had a timetable for when the court proceedings are going to pick back up. On July 16th, text will leak out of Bob and Clark talking after he was trying to get into contact with Daniel again, with Bob saying that he hasn't talked to him since July 3rd, meaning that Daniel hasn't been in contact with the outside world for almost 2 whole weeks now. That same day, it would also come out that 4 of his use or threatened use of explosive material charges seem to have been dropped, meaning he now only had 3 charges with a max sentence of 25 years to worry about now. The biggest news that would drop that day, however, was that people would not only learn that his psychiatric report was restricted from the public, he would also get a new date for his competency hearing set for September 23rd, 2024, meaning that he had 2 more months in the slammer waiting to see if he's even fit for trial or not. It seems that Daniel here will officially serve time, as even though the exact details are still murky, almost half a year in prison with no sign of being released is more than enough to show his followers that things are wrapping up here in the story of Daniel Larson. After the past 4 years, the Daniel Larson saga seems to finally be over. Sure, some more stuff will probably come out after this video, but the entire main story has been painstakingly dug through bit by myself to give y'all the best possible telling of what is up with the guy. After all, at this point he's either determined competent for trial and that date gets set a couple weeks or months after the September 23rd hearing, or he's determined incompetent and is held indefinitely in the prison or potentially another institution if they feel like it. That's again not to mention that 4 charges seem to have been dropped, indicating that a plea deal more than likely took place, with those exact details hidden under who knows how many levels of restricted information. While an answer would most definitely be appreciated rather than the courts constantly delaying things, the fact is that either way, Daniel will be in prison for a lot longer than people expected, and for all intents and purposes the main story of Daniel Larson is officially over. I went into this project explicitly with the intention of telling his story in a concise way that wasn't dragged out without leaving out important details, and trust me, I was a lot more liberal when it came to leaving out stuff that was very pedantic, and the fact this ended up being just over 3 hours long really shows you just how insane yet interesting his story is. I have never seen someone's life full of the highest highs and the lowest lows all broadcasted to the internet like this on such a fast scale before, and the fact it would have kept going were it not for the police makes me wonder on what possible story arcs we missed out on due to them finally stepping in and putting a stop to all this madness. My favorite moment throughout this deep dive isn't him yelling at people or losing his mind on camera, but rather how Bob kept catching strays from Daniel when he had nothing to do with anything going on most of the time. I found it completely hilarious putting this video together only to see Daniel losing his mind and bringing up Bob for no reason to say how he's a bad person or whatever. Not only because it's just funny seeing his name being brought up when he's probably just chilling at home, but because throughout this whole ordeal he has been the only person in his entire life that never left him behind, yet Daniel will still look for any reason he could to talk down on him or make him look bad. It's a mixture of shocking, funny, and sad all brought together by these reoccurring instances. And I do hope for the best for Bob as he figures out what to do next with Daniel, if he even decides to involve himself any further now. I've also never done this before, but if you wouldn't mind donating to my Patreon or YouTube memberships, that would be very much appreciated. This project has been taking up my entire life for the past 2 months now, which is why uploads have been scarce lately, and I'm virtually a one-man show on this channel. I did all the research, scripting, recording, and editing for this, literally everything, and if you could become a member of the channel, it would help support me out a lot when it comes to making videos in general. You can even do a one-time donation with the super chat option in the comments too if you'd like, but please take into consideration as any support from y'all would help me out a lot in my life currently. Daniel Larson is one of the most interesting lolcows to ever grace the internet. I'd say he's in the top 10, arguably even top 5, and seeing everything come to an end is almost relieving in a way. I have mixed feelings on the man himself because while it's clear that his obsession with Grace Vanderwaal and underage people is absolutely disgusting, you can tell he's so mentally ill he probably doesn't and will never truly understand just how bad he is. It's like he has the mind of an 8-year-old but the sex drive of an adult, and that is a recipe for disaster for any person who's like him in this world, and in some cases seeing just how far people are willing to troll and torment him is almost pitiful at times. There are so many things to reminisce on as our journey ends here, but honestly, it's best to let things settle the natural way like they currently are. It's extremely clear that Daniel needs to stay locked away from society or at the very least under 24 hours 7 days a week supervision for the rest of his life, because once he gets out or gets his hands on the internet again, he will immediately get back to his old ways. And given just how bloodthirsty and generally psychotic some of his trolls are, that could lead to some dire consequences depending on the situation. For now though, I'm gonna take a quick break in the meantime and let myself rest for a bit, and all we can do now is wait for Daniel's eventual release and see if he'll get right back into his old ways or not once we pick things up a few years from now. One thing's for sure, however, that young, innocent boy back in the Tennyson Center for Children who wanted to be famous one day did get his wish, albeit in a very different way that anybody, even himself, could have ever imagined.